And good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Smudcast number 779, The Frustrating Culture of Dead Game Franchises. This is from Tactical Bacon Productions. We've talked to him before. Pretty cool guy. Makes some interesting videos. And I'm not sure I'm frustrated by dead game franchises. I'm sort of frustrated by sequels that go nowhere or didn't live up to the hype or the basic concepts of the first game. So this has never really bothered me. I'm kind of happy that the creators of, let's say, dead game franchises, because the company is gone or the company fired everyone, go to Kickstarter and do their own thing. Even if they're lackluster, it's still the spirit of the thing that I liked and they're back. So I'm not really frustrated by dead franchises. I'm sort of frustrated by sequels or spiritual successors that do not become better than what came before. So it's kind of like watching Star Trek Voyager. Like, you like Voyager, you like Star Trek, it's fine, but you realize the storytelling's not as interesting or compelling as fifth season of TNG or other episodes. So it's still good, it's just not as good as you'd like.
Yeah. The thing with spiritual successors is usually that when they're not total recreations, which would basically be like a remaster that you didn't have the license for, I'd say the good developers do try to make their own thing or add something to the formula. And a positive example, it has some downsides. The positive example to that would be, I would say, War for the Overworld, which is a spiritual successor to Dungeon Keeper. And although they put a bit too much emphasis on the competitive play part, it gets most things right. And they experimented a lot with adding one or two quality of life things, but mainly also with skill trees that you develop, that you unlock throughout the game, that you play, and thereby you become a different dungeon keeper from the one you play against. So that's sort of interesting, and I'm looking forward to that company learning from all of that and making a new one.
Yeah.
Currently, they're making a spiritual successor to Theme Hospital.
Oh, wow.
Although 2 Point Hospital was already that by the original team of Theme Hospital.
Yeah.
And these guys from Bright Rock Games, who made the Dungeon Keeper successor, that got a blessing from Peter Molyneux, who said, "Yep, that's it. That's good."
Not sure
I
that's a
know,
good
I
thing.
know, I know. That look. If the guy who made the original says, "Yeah, I think you're on the right track," that's at least one good sign. Even if he never delivered much on his big promises.
Well,
But
I was thinking
these things happen and they do go on.
I was
And
thinking more or less what happened to Konami, because they just killed all their gaming division and all the people that left. But we had like a Rockstar in Kojima who, instead of doing his version of Metal Gear Solid, he did his own thing, which is great. So it's like, okay, we like the guy. What does he do now that he's free and he can make his own company? Oh, walking simulator, which is fine. It doesn't matter what people could like it and hate it, whatever. But the amount of effort he put into that was impressive. So you may not like the new stuff that comes out as a result of companies reorganizing, and this happens every time a game comes out. If you're a full-time worker, great, and you stick with the company. You could do anything if you're a developer because you're that good at coding and a graphics engine or what have you. Great, it's a good career choice. Whether you get paid a lot, I don't know. It changes every company, but in most cases, it's you work with one project, and if that works out, you get assigned to its sequel, and you get fired, or you get fired, and then you find another job. So, if you could find a franchise that isn't dead, that people care about, outside of the big names everyone knows, I'd like to know, because I can't think of any franchise that's really bothered me.
I always lament that we never got a sequel to StarCraft.
What? You're going to say StarCraft 2 is bad? Okay, well, the entire Korean country has something to say about that.
No, the entire Korean country keeps playing StarCraft 1.
They play both. They're competitions.
They do play both, but StarCraft 1 outplays StarCraft 2
go to their competitions. Their professional gaming competitions. They play
the one for StarCraft 2 are being pushed, but the country prefers to play StarCraft 1. It's more popular. Still.
Maybe we'll get a third game. I don't know. It's possible.
No, not from that. The Blizzard is dead. It's all the good people are everywhere else.
You never know these days. I've seen so many indie games pop up that are fantastic.
Indie games, but that won't be StarCraft. There would then be another game that would be like StarCraft but better.
I see. That's the problem with these sequels or these spiritual successors. Even with the one that I played, Yuden Chronicle, that came out from the guys at Konami who did Suikoden. They have all the parts. Like the fishing mini game, the Pokemon style collecting units, all these other mini games, and they're all fine. They're not good. They're just, this is passable. This is passable. This is okay. The music's great. The animation's great. The fighting's fine. But it's just this mediocre blend of stuff to do, and you're like, I hate this. There's so much stuff.
And the problem, there's two problems with that. So number one is, as with the example of War for the Overworld, they added their own stuff to it to make that better. They neglected other parts, sadly.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see in the future.
Yeah, like
but when you play it, you don't notice that missing stuff right away because there's so much new shit. It's amazing. And they got what was his name? Richard. I can't remember his name. The voice actor for the narrator in Dungeon Keeper and Dungeon Keeper 2.
You're not talking about Richard Garriott from Ultima.
Not Garriott. I forgot his name. I'm sorry, but they got the original guy and they made this. Even though it's not the official Dungeon Keeper, they wrote their story in a way where you could imagine that it is a continuation of the past game, and the narrator, your advisor basically, is actually a dark god behind the scenes who is pulling the strings of all the dungeon keepers to get his will. So he's playing everyone. Great idea. Story-wise, great idea. But another example, the guys who originally made Diablo and Diablo 2, they later made Torchlight. Yeah. Completely different style, could stand on its own, quality of life improvements, which showed that they understood what the next game needed. Blizzard, having the original license, but not the people anymore, completely messed up Diablo 3. So completely that they had to get a new game designer in to completely overhaul the game after launch. I think it was after launch even, which is insane and tells of a lack of competence in that company. Which also explains why World of Warcraft went downhill. But I'm getting off topic.
Yeah.
What I want to get at is, even if you make a game that has all the great elements, if it and you are the original team that made it, that game cannot continue the original series because you don't have the license anymore, or rather, when you don't have that license, access to that license anymore, and that is something that is missing. If you had, for example, somebody made, like Mark Kern and the other guys, somehow made Warcraft 4, but not Warcraft, because they couldn't make Warcraft. They would have to build an entire backstory and world for that, and compelling characters that can build this up again on its own. And I think there are, again, I'm lacking the title. There is a project by the RTS division of Blizzard, the ex-RTS division. They are making something of that, but I'm sorry, I cannot remember the name. But
It was on Kickstarter or a thing like that, but it was only for the beta. Like you want to buy into the first chapter of the game. You're like, what? No.
yeah, but the entire problem is, even if that is a perfect game, it would. Why the last one was such a success is
Stormgate.
one, of course, because it's an amazing. Thank you. It's an amazing game design, amazing gameplay, but it also already builds on something epic that came before. So you have the combination of being an amazing game with a nostalgia factor. If you have only the nostalgia factor, but the rest is stale, bad game. If you build, if you have a great game, but you don't have the nostalgia factor, it's gonna be tough. That's the gamble part, and yeah, that's why they always try to. Well, you see companies, whether it's movies, series, or games, always try to catch in on the nostalgia part. The problem is when they do that, they often forget that you still need everything else.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's get on with the video. This is almost 30 minutes. I doubt we'll go through all of it, but I don't know what he's going to talk about exactly. Maybe there's an argument to be made about bad games or that, I don't know, went away, or good games that went away. I don't know. I don't know what the issue is.
I think
A good example for my...
I think the idea is mostly about the communities behind such games.
Ah.
Because there are some loving fan bases that do not want to let go.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, well, with the positive outcome that some of those are so amazing that they make ancient games run again, like the people who work on Sacrifice.
Yeah, great game.
That game wouldn't run today anymore if there wasn't a fan community.
Alrighty, let's get started. Bacon.
Never understood that.
Hello everybody. So, confession time. This is not my first crack at this topic. I had an entire separate version of this video scripted and recorded, but it got pushed to the back burner for a little while, and I came back to it and I wasn't really happy with it, so I decided to basically start from scratch. And this is a topic I've wanted to discuss for a while, but have resisted because I feel like it's an inherently confrontational and controversial topic. The topic of why certain franchises die while others thrive, and my issues with the culture surrounding dormant franchises. So keep in mind while you're watching this video, when I'm discussing toxic behavior, I am in no way implying that everyone takes part in said toxic behavior. I'm only discussing the people who do.
So again,
I'll start this off by saying...
I don't like this term. We've said this many times. What is toxic behavior? What fans are toxic? What does that mean? Is this just social media rubbish? What are we talking about?
Because the people who have established the term have always been the toxic ones. They have always been projecting.
I just want to know what exactly is toxic. If you say, well, you're a dummy because you don't like the things I like or whatever, it's like, I don't care. That's just silly.
Yeah. It's become a winged word, but the problem with that is that it is loaded with meaning, and it is always the meaning that that every individual sees in it, and not necessarily what you see in it. That's the problem with winged words. I just want to mention something about the hair here. What gets on my nerves at this point in time, because everybody goes about look at the great physics, look at the booty jiggle or the other jiggle, and all the great hair, how it flows in the wind, and then you give her a bow and the hair keeps clipping through it. Like if you go to all that effort to have it all like go by its own physics, then let her hair get tangled up in the bow, because that's what would happen. Instead of letting it clip through, the clipping through, it looks like your weapon clipping through the cape in World of Warcraft in vanilla. Please, dear game developers, think.
Okay.
I'm only discussing the people who do. one in the world is to some degree an egotist, and that's a good thing, because
Whoa.
believing in yourself, having
Projection.
self-worth, these are positive traits in moderation.
Whoa. Okay.
That's not the same as egotism.
He said egotist. He could also be using the word egoist. It's roughly the same word. Geez, you could just say self-centered. That's fine. Selfish. But he's trying to say that it's okay to pursue your own interests. That's what I think he's trying to say. Not that.
That's not what these words mean.
I know, but he's using it improperly. We're gonna let that slide. Hopefully, he'll get to the point.
I will say, if you believe that with what these words really mean, one, you're projecting. Two, that means you are a very toxic person.
Or he just doesn't know the definition. That's also possible.
Which is very likely.
Yeah. Okay.
Unchecked egotism can manifest itself in a lot of rather unhealthy ways, and amongst gamers, you tend to see one's own egotism manifest in a way that...
Okay, he is using this word way too much. I don't think he knows what he's talking about. If it was just like a one-off, I'd be like, that's fine. But now he's using it 4 times. I'm like, oh no.
I think
Dictionary, use it.
Yeah.
I think he's going into the entitlement angle.
Okay. New rule. Everybody who wants to be a video essayist, read the thesaurus of your language.
Yeah, don't
Do
use
not
words.
make videos before you have read the entire thesaurus of your language.
Yeah, just don't use words that you're using improperly, or if your definition is in the ballpark, please explain the definition, because I could use a word like selfish, but that could be a positive thing, that could be a negative thing. I'll explain what the definition means, and then I use it properly. Like, that's fine, but just don't use the word and assume that's what you're talking about, because that's not what you said. Anyway, let's continue. Oh, here's a super chat. Thank you, Vladimir. Of course, obligatory unrelated super chat, but I just picked up a new manga, new to me at least, called Dinosaur Sanctuary. It looks interesting. I've never heard of it. Sounds cool.
For $5, you could have bought the next volume.
Anyway, thank you, sir. Let's continue.
Importance on things they like, meanwhile downplaying the things they don't like. This is especially the case on social media, where algorithms will push things into your feed that you will like, or in cases like Reddit, where you can join...
Okay,
You don't go to Reddit.
I've encountered so many things I dislike on Twitter, and I don't know why. It's annoying. I'm like, how did this get in my feed? Like, why is this there?
Because algorithm is looking for an engagement.
It's because even though Elon Musk fired all the communists, he then hired new communists.
I don't know what's happening, but I'm getting all these weirdos. I don't know if they're bot accounts, but they're just the weirdest people just loving Justin Trudeau. And I'm like, I can't believe
Those are bots.
these
If
people.
they have, do they always have a strange first name and then a lot of numbers?
They have the flags. They got the blue wave icon. They got all this nonsense. And you're like, this is not Canadian. I've never encountered someone like this. I know there's people in Toronto that believe. I know people in Ottawa believe in the Liberals still, but it's pretty rare in the rest of Canada.
All bots. What is liberal about this sort of politics?
They say the dumb, like they're talking about.
Please use the word correctly.
They are using. They are doing not ad hominem attacks, but they're referring to how attractive visually Mr. Trudeau is in comparison to. Like, this is the stupidest commentary I've ever heard. Why are you opening your mouth?
That's like saying Xi Jinping is so smart because he wrote his own dictionary called the Dictionary. I'm not making this up. That exists.
Anyway, it's annoying me, and I don't know why it's happening. But on YouTube, it's okay. I get all the things I like on YouTube. So, anyway,
specifically tailored to your interests. Things encourages this misplaced importance because it's a good way to keep you on their platforms so you can see more ads. I remember this meme circulating a while back, and it gave me pause because what I saw here was a series of franchises that weren't popular being compared to a series of franchises that were popular. But a certain demographic of people tend to downplay that popularity in order to push a thought pattern that historically has been mostly incorrect. Because the God's honest truth is, the reason why a lot of your favorite franchises die is that they're simply not as popular or as important as you think they are. Game development these days is a very expensive thing, even with lower tier games. While I do...
That's because they don't spread themselves out. You can have your high range, your triple A or quadruple A games with way too much money put into them, and usually mediocre gameplay, like God of War Ragnarok, that is also badly written. Or you can, at the same time, also have your medium level and your small games that sustain a foundation on which you can operate. So you don't have to just gamble on your sextuple A game.
And I think this is kind of a difference that he missed with this comparison. Because he has shown the big things, the popular, quote unquote popular things. And then on the other side, there was basically a wide range of different stuff.
Yeah, Hollywood has the same problem, by the way, with the billion-dollar movies that they gamble on all the time, and they're not financing the experimental mid-tier things anymore.
This is pretty common. This is pretty common in higher interactive media or new media. Not so much for books, but the publisher is aware of their clientele or their demographics. So if someone goes to a publisher that sells romance novels and you want to make an adventure, it's like, well, is there romance in it? It's like, not really. Well, I can't sell that. So you gotta find someone, and you will find a publisher. It just takes some time. So I don't know. It's really about the executives making the choices, saying what makes the most money for us. Obviously, money is an issue, but you look at Interplay, Black Isle, Troika, all those companies that just sort of were formed just to make a game, and then they collapsed, or a series of games, and they collapsed.
The way they collapsed had various reasons.
Oh yeah, but it was all about making the game. It wasn't about making money.
Yeah, but yes, but you make the game great, and in the process, it hopefully becomes so great because you care about the piece of art that you are making, that it will be liked well enough that it does make you money. The problem with Troika is that they were kept from releasing their game. Was it Vampire? I think that was the Vampire story. So they were kept from releasing Vampire the Masquerade, although they had to because they had run out of money for development. They still needed major bug fixes there. That's why the game is so buggy. But they couldn't release it because they had made it in Half-Life 2 engine. It was the first game that would have released in Half-Life 2 engine, and they couldn't because Half-Life 2 had not been released yet. Because Gabe didn't get it done in time. So the reason Troika is dead is because of Half-Life 2. That's Gabe's fault.
All right.
That's a special. So you have special stories like that happen.
That there's a lot of overspending in major game development, that doesn't downplay the fact that with technology and general sensibilities evolving the way they have, they've evolved to the point where the base level of how much games cost is more than they were back before things like physics engines or motion capture or even HD graphics became a requirement in a lot of cases. There was once a time when you could have a game sell 1, 2, or 300,000 copies and still make a modest profit. But in many cases, that's not the case anymore, which is why you don't see many legacy video game franchises these days, and why you saw so many of them go away in the early to mid-2010s. If an entire company shifts their philosophy into a direction that you don't like, but they end up making more money...
It's a Benny Hill. Just imagine the Benny Hill music running around and around. Anyway.
Maybe you're in the minority, but example of a surprisingly unpopular game series than Mega Man. This is a series known for its longevity, its iconic imagery, its quality gameplay, and how it inspired so many games in the modern age. But let me tell you something. Capcom is one of the few developers or publishers that actually posts all of their sales figures over 1 million copies. But do you want to take a guess how far you have to scroll down the list to find a single Mega Man game? At time of writing, 65 entries. And despite being a series of over 100 games, only 7 Mega Man games have sold over 1 million copies. 2 of those were legacy collections, and 3 of them couldn't...
Only 6? Yeah, okay, there are like 3 million Mega Man games. But 6 is a pretty good number for a series to make it that far, and yes, Of course, it's the compilations who do that because they're easily available on Steam.
I'm not seeing the huge problem. Like, I was a Mega Man fan on the NES. I remember 2. I remember 3. I remember playing all these games. After a certain point, I stopped getting them, and that was, I think, after X. Like, I really liked X, but I just didn't. It wasn't for me anymore. I just didn't get into it anymore. So when I saw Battle Network, I was like, "Wow, what's that?" And that's a really good game. So these games are good, but I've played Mega Man. I know it. I don't know all of it, obviously, because I haven't played it since, I don't know, 2001 or something. So it's a huge thing, and I don't think it has the same appeal as the other, like the Nintendo brand, that's constantly reinventing itself. So
in a way, what you see, where you see the genre continue. Not the franchise directly, but the genre. It's in the indie games from Hollow Knight to Shovel Knight and other such things. All the side-scrolling jump and run thingies.
Oh yeah, I mean Mega Man.
Whether you shoot or sword sticky is just a detail.
Yeah, Mega Man is not just a side scroller. There's the 3D games. There's the Battle Network games. Like they have different genres. So that's when I saw. Oh wow, I didn't see Mega Man in that context. So yeah, it's about. Do I have to buy another console or another handheld just to play a Mega Man game? Yeah, I'll pass. So there's that issue. If these were on PC, it would be easier nowadays just because everyone's using a PC. But, it's...
I mean, technically, a Mega Man game is relative... The classic Mega Man game is very easily designed. Compared to anything else that is made today. When you do the 2D side scroller, yes, you do a lot of sprites, you do some animations, some effects, and you do the boss design. Okay.
It is.
You do the stages, but it's a so standard formula that you get that you could probably make it as a randomly generator that you can throw it in a random in an RNG. Ask an AI, hey, make me a Mega Man game, and it comes out. The small version of that is 20XX, which is a spiritual successor in a way. Handling is a bit different, but overall, that's a Mega Man game. Leans itself a bit to the aesthetic, and is the what do you call it? A roguelite, where you have constant little progress in unlocking new power-ups that you get as you run through the randomly generated levels.
Okay.
Selling over 1 million units. Franchise is and how popular it actually is, and why is that? I genuinely could not tell you why. But that's why you don't see so many Mega Man games these days, and why the franchise went on a 10-year.
I think he's conflating popularity with sales figures again.
Yeah,
it's not a great way to do it. I think.
The issue always became when we jumped to the 3D world with PlayStation and other larger cart or CD games. Side-scrolling was not as popular, so that's kind of normal as technology goes up. So people still love these games. I love these games. It just doesn't appeal as much as when you could have, let's say, Red Book Audio and an RPG, and all of a sudden you're listening to a real guitar while you're playing Suikoden, like in the late 90s. It's like, wow, this is incredible. So you get different media with more technology, and the appeal of side-scrollers has to be upgraded, and I don't know what that is. There's lots of reasons for that not working.
This at one point. It was clearly a profits and was a franchise spearheaded by a single man. Once both those elements went away, what reason did Capcom have to keep the franchise going when they could make a Street Fighter game, a Resident Evil game, a Devil May Cry game, or a Monster Hunter game and sell 10 times as many copies? Mega Man has a massive profile on social media, which is why you see so many people pining for more, but from Capcom's perspective, what reason do they have? Not historical precedent, that's for sure. I feel like that million-unit figure is a good point of reference to pinpoint the bare minimum of what it might take for a game to be profitable these days. In many cases, it's much more than that, but if you can't even crack 1 million, you have no hope. Let's take Konami now, a publisher who has a very mixed history these days, but there's no doubt that they're another example of a developer/publisher who has a lot of iconic IP in their back pocket, but a lot of which don't nearly have the same amount of clout as you'd think. Contra is a long-running franchise that has allegedly sold 5 million copies collectively, but not one entry has ever sold over 1 million copies. Or Castlevania, which is another long-standing series that has an unparalleled legacy and has inspired so many games, but has only ever had 3 entries sell over 1 million units. The first Lords of Shadow, the original Castlevania, and Symphony of the Night. Then you have something like Silent Hill, one of the progenitors of the
Oh no, not every game is a super hit that cracks the magical 7 digits.
Yeah, it's an arbitrary cutoff point.
Yeah, and you have to remember what came out, what was in competition that year with Castlevania. I think it was Final Fantasy VII and a few others. So there's all kinds of things happening that causes games to be popular as opposed to others. And you can't just always say, well, if we can't do the next GTA or we can't do the next Mario, then what's the point? It's like, well, no, you don't go into gaming to make a lot of money. You go into gaming because no one else can do what you just thought up, or you can do it better than everyone else, and you want to prove that. It's kind of like an artist going, oh, I could make the greatest form of art, or I can do the best form of art in that style. Let me prove it to you. And then you have like a bunch of people together who believe in that dream. And they come together and say, well, I'm a musician, well, I'm a this and I'm a that. And you just keep pushing as art is, or as art is made. So this is...
It's like making opera.
It's such a mixed, like, it's I'd say it's more complex, because opera is a linear, beautiful, amazing,
It's
dozens...
But you have so many different professions come together to bring it to life. That's what I mean.
Oh, yeah, it's certainly complicated. It's just that with this, it's software, it's media, it's interactive. There's parts of storytelling in it. There's how much memory do you have to work with? What's their compression ratio with all your models? How do you render things? Is this going to work on multiple systems? So there's all these factors involved, and you got to be an engineer and a musician and an art, or you just have to understand all these components to make something work. And then you get lucky with Iga from Castlevania making Symphony of the Night that no one was expecting to do that. And he just, no, this is what I wanted. He pushed for it. He got it. And he proved it to, well, at least to the gamers, I don't know about the company, that, yeah, he knows what he's doing. And Castlevania 3 was where he got his chops, and voila, he got a hit. But that's not, like, look at all the games from Castlevania after Symphony of the Night, not the 3D ones, the 2.5 ones, the 2.5D ones, even the advanced games, like, those were amazing. Did they sell that much? No. They screwed around with marketing, they screwed around with all kinds of things, but those games are excellent. All the mobile, Portrait of Ruin, Order of Ecclesia, the two the Sorrow games, Dawn of Sorrow, yeah.
And the 90s are the best example of the whole corporate viewpoint about magic numbers being complete bollocks. Because all the great games of the 90s were the products of passion. People who wanted to make something amazing and not push any messages. They just wanted to make something cool, something that they enjoyed, and subsequently that other players would enjoy.
Yeah.
And most of those, they were not proficient in their field. Frank Lepaki is self-taught. He's a self-taught musician.
I remember,
just like Nobuo Uematsu. He's a self-taught musician. He did not have a classical education to make music, and yet he writes some of the greatest classical music of our time.
Yeah, it's kind of like remembering Chris Avalone's reason to make Planescape. He got frustrated with gaming in general. He got frustrated with RPGs. And he was playing Diablo 2, and he got annoyed. Was it Diablo 1 or Diablo 2? And he got annoyed at every time he killed a succubus, they had that orgasmic death sound. He's like, this is...
was fun.
Yeah, like he had all these reasons, all this frustration that other people were making in games. And he's like, oh, I'm going to do my own thing. And he got people together. He wrote the story and helped with other people to make the system work. So there's all kinds of motivations for people to make games, and sometimes it doesn't come together. But you never know. And that game did not sell.
Sometimes your passion does not resonate with big enough of a public. Like, as we see with the passion of the ideologically possessed activist. It's also very passionate and puts that passion into everything, into all the games. But everybody who's not possessed by the ideology is disgusted by it. And that's why none of that sells.
Well, even
because that's not what a game is or a movie is. That's just a sermon.
Even with Planescape, which is this big, expansive world and all this text to read. Basically, you're reading a book. Mm-hmm. I remember seeing maybe an ad in like a game, Power Magazine. I can't remember what the hell it was called. And it didn't appeal to me. I was like, these screenshots, they look like a weird, a creepy version of Baldur's Gate. I don't want to play that. I wanted standard RPG Western stuff, but I didn't know it was great until years later. And then you're like, oh my God, this is amazing. So
that game really died because of marketing, because the box art alone was repulsively bad. If you saw that on the shelf, you would walk past
like, what the hell is this horror story?
Yeah. It looked the box art looked like something you'd have on the software pyramid for $5, but it was full price.
Yeah,
it's like no
weird zombie man. Like, what is this? I don't want to play that.
Yeah, and then only through word of mouth. And that takes a long time. Word of mouth can take a very long time.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway.
5-10 years later, everybody knows, oh, this is the Diamond in the Rough, the best game ever. And in regards to storytelling, oh my God, let's get it. Oh, the company is dead. Oh, pity. The Gothic series was also a Diamond in the Rough. Pure passion project and just hilarious. And it has its rough edges.
Yep. Same with Alpha Protocol. With Sega, they canned the sequel. It's like, okay, can't do much about it. Anyway, there's lots of reasons games don't do well, even though they're excellent. So,
yeah, concentrate on your niche.
Survival horror genre, which at times collectively, but of the many games in this iconic franchise, only 2 of them have ever sold over 1 million copies, and they were the first 2 games. Then you have Bomberman, a series so traditionally unpopular, it was newsworthy when Super Bomberman R broke the 2 million unit mark. And once again, I could not tell you why these same...
Of course, because Bomberman is awesome. Why? Bomberman didn't sell? I didn't know. I love Bomberman.
Like franchises are so paradoxical, like Metal Gear Solid, which is a very popular franchise by the same publisher and has all the makings of a niche series. But it managed to break away and become not only one of the most iconic, but one of the best-selling video game franchises in history. If I had to guess, I think it's because Metal Gear Solid, when it first came out, had a novelty to it, being easily the most cinematic game to ever exist at the time. A novelty that attracted a casual audience that never let go, whereas I guess these other franchises were either too inherently niche in their sensibilities or never had the same novelty to a casual audience to attract as many long-term fans. But either way, that's why you don't see these franchises much these days, because historically, well, these franchises have never sold well. At the end of the day, the main issue here is casual fans versus hardcore fans. Hardcore fans...
Here's the question. Because he uses the hard cap of breaking the 7 digits. Back in the day, so today, 99% of kids play video games. Especially when you include the mobile crap. Back in the day, that wasn't the case. So the audience that you could tap into was already smaller. And now you have a lot of cross-platform games. Back in the day, a game usually only came out on one platform. Some try to do cross-platform, but that didn't always work well. Blizzard did make a Super Nintendo release of StarCraft.
Well, I recall.
I do not want to think about how the controls worked.
I recall in '97 when Final Fantasy VII came out, I had friends who they're into games, but they weren't into RPGs. They're like, "Wow, this game looks amazing." It's like, well, it looks like a bunch of blocky characters like everything else, but they were referring to the pre-rendered scenes. So it's like, you're going to appeal to someone, but of course, Final Fantasy VII had advertisements during the Super Bowl. I remember seeing it leading up to its release and after its release at least twice a week on TV back when I was watching TV. So you would get they spent millions and millions of dollars in over the world just to get TV various spots, and it was like a 10-second spot, then it was a 20-second spot, then they had the full minute ads. So obviously the marketing was huge. They knew this game was going to do well because they put so much effort into it, had hundreds of programmers and animators. So, how do you sell something? This is not, how do you sell Dragon Quest to the West? You can't really do it. It doesn't really appeal. It doesn't translate very well. Final Fantasy VII, you can use stills. You can use animations from the pre-rendered scenes. Oh, it's like a movie. Oh, it's all this sci-fi stuff. Okay, cool. A guy on a bike. I get it. Like, it's easy to translate that as opposed to fantasy magical Japanese land with dragons and princesses. It's like, it looks like it for kids. So there's ways to sell things to the American or the Western market that will work and will not work. And I think Dragon Quest, because Dragon Quest is gigantic in Japan, not as big in the West, comparatively speaking to Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy obviously is huge, but Square Soft at the time was not very good at staying afloat.
Thing you put out in these franchises outnumbers the hardcore audience 10-1 at least. And what makes something appeal to a casual audience will vary from situation to situation. Conker's Bad Fur Day, for example, was a game that at the time of its release had absolutely no appeal. Hear me out. There's an audience for ironic, subversive games these days in the larger age of irony, and now that games as a medium are more established, but back then, adults weren't going to buy it because it was a genre of games largely associated with children's games, and then the only kids who were...
It was a children's game, but more in the juvenile range than the little kids range.
It started out as a kids game, then slowly over time got changed to an rated M game.
And if you look into the history of Rare's relationship with Nintendo, this might be their... Oh God, what was the example? It's too late. Damn it. Oh right. This is Rareware's Shrek.
I would say it's a bit more adult than that, yeah.
Yeah, but you know how DreamWorks made Shrek out of the frustrations against Disney.
Okay.
This is the product. This is Conker's Bad Fur Day. To me, looking into the history between the two companies and how Nintendo meddled in all of Rare's projects, where they shot down their ideas, forced their own characters in. Like Diddy Kong Racing was not supposed to contain Diddy. Nintendo forced him in. I'd even say for the better of it. But overall, Rare was forced to comply to so many of Nintendo's demands that I can imagine that with Conker's Bad Fur Day, they just let out all those frustrations and made something that looked like a kid's game at first glance and then turned out to not actually be the entire Nintendo family-friendly thing. Like Shrek. It's a subversion.
Who were going to get it bought for them were noticed the very clear warnings on the front of the box. So that's a case where it's easy as hell to pinpoint exactly why it flopped. If it were released today, it would probably be relatively popular. But really, that's just the evolution of audience desires, something you see quite a lot of in the larger gaming landscape. Hence why...
I don't think it would be popular. I think it would be a niche thing as it was in the past. It would appeal with this sense of retro look. Like, can you imagine a high-res 4K Conker's Bad Fur Day?
Hell no.
It wouldn't work.
What would be wrong with you with that?
Yeah, you want that old school looking PlayStation 1 level quality. It's like, okay, the jokes work here, the style fits. It's too like look at that he showed shots of. Was it Mega Man 8 or the really polished looking Mega Man game where everything's really well animated and all the lighting's perfect? Like that still looks appealing. I would want to play that because wow, it looks great, and I've played my share of Mega Man games, so I'd want to check that out. But imagine a well polished 3D adventure platformer, Conker's Bad Fur Day 2 or whatever. It's like, nah, probably wouldn't care.
I mean, you have that already. It's unfortunately locked behind the old Xbox.
Oh,
Tyler Preston said in the chat that the Xbox re-release was heavily censored, which defeats the point of the game.
yeah.
and Spyro were so ungodly popular in the 90s, but then as soon as the 2000s hit, they fell off completely and had a near-decade hiatus. And why Rayman is suddenly...
Yes, but why? Do you know why? It's not hard to explain. There's competition. There's other games of the same genre. There's newer games of new genres that people are competing for the wallets of the players. So there's lots of reasons why games don't go as far as they should. There's lots of reasons why Nintendo is what it is. It's being a first party to itself. There's all kinds. So like nowadays, for me, I'm pretty happy just buying everything on PC. I can definitely buy a Switch game, but I won't be playing it as much because I don't own a Switch. My brother does. So there's lots of reasons why people are jumping more to PC. The convenience, downloadable content, not having all these. Some people don't like hardware. Some people do not like having boxes lying around. Some people love that. So it depends on convenience, depends on price, depends on all kinds of things.
What he brings up here with, how's Rayman suddenly important again? He's not. This where he's depicted here is to destroy his character and his legacy. This is a culture warp move.
I like
that's what this is for.
I like the animation in Rayman because what they did was they took like the head, the hands, the feet, and they disconnected the appendages. So you're having this really cute animation of a walk cycle, for example, of hands and feet without the legs, without the arms. So it's one way to get around all these memory issues and storage issues. Like, okay, great. That would work perfectly back in the 90s when, you only had, was it 750K or 750 megs to play around with on a CD. And developers come up with fancy ideas to make a fun experience while decreasing memory storage. So they existed for a time, and maybe you could bring it back in a higher definition. I think it might work, but it's like bringing back Mickey Mouse from its original inception. Like you could, but it'd be totally different. So,
hey, Westwood and Squaresoft had no trouble putting their adventures on 4 CDs. Oh
yeah, I remember Westwood. Those are interesting.
Play Lands of Lore 2. What did they call it in English?
Oh God,
Dawn of the Gods. Dusk of the Gods.
They had like Carandia. They had a bunch of weird adventure games. Yeah.
Oh, Lands of Lore 2 was the pinnacle. It was the best thing.
Okay.
That was real fantasy.
Nearly a decade of basically nothing. Platformer thing and turn him into a sweary SOB, although I'm not sure if I can use Rayman as an example for this list, considering that after several re-releases, Rayman Legends is officially the best-selling game in the Rayman series as of 2019. So even if the series did fall off in the mid to late 2000s, it's a wonder why Ubisoft isn't doing anything with this series now. In fact, Ubisoft as a whole is a bit of a perplexing case, because while they...
He earlier made a point that the series were not popular, so they had a very long hiatuses. But right now he's saying, "Oh, but they successfully brought this back, so why are they not doing more?"
Yeah, 2019 was like 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Please don't remind me.
A lot of iconic intellectual property is tossed to know if they stopped making individual franchises because of dwindling popularity or for reasons that only make sense to them. The only one that I can definitely say was a flop was Beyond Good and Evil, which would probably explain why the sequel has been stuck in development hell for more than half my life. God, that's depressing. Now let's take a look at Nintendo, because they're a company...
If you wouldn't just chase the sales high scores, you could understand as a developer, and the old studios certainly did back in the day, before they were bought by monsters like EA and Microsoft, that if you make a sequel to your game that sold well, and it's usually why you make a sequel, and that is also good, and not just a carbon copy, but it improves a little bit here and there. It continues the story in a cool way, whatever.
Yeah, that's kind of reminding... Go ahead.
Then you are tapping into a loyal audience. You have secure sales, which means you have a secure job. But if you only chase for, let's break the million, let's break the million, then you're just gambling.
Yeah.
It's just
then
corporate
go
work.
to a casino, for fuck's sake. It's
Yeah.
less work.
This is why people followed Kojima in whatever he did. And this is why I followed some of the guys from the Planescape team to make the Kickstarter project of Tides of Numenera, because it's like you don't need a sequel to Planescape, but you want something like it. You want like a different version of that, the same concepts, philosophical issues, wonderful character issues. Like I wanted that experience, and they changed so many things. They changed the battle system. They changed the talking, like the dialogue, the narration. Like I don't know if you guys ever played that game, but the writer was like, he would always have compound sentences. Something was like this, and then it was like that, and he always had a third. He had two comma splices, and he always had a third part of his sentence. Like it was always adjective, noun, and then some other conclusion. I'm like, dude, can you get a different writer? Just do something else. Like every single line of this game, I'm like, oh my God. It just was nauseating. It was slow. The setting was fine. The setting was creepy as hell.
It's like poetry. It rhymes.
It's all they had to do was get Chris Avlon. Chris, can you make another Planescape in a different setting with different mechanics? Like, sure, I could try. It's like, great. That's all I got to do. He was called in to do a few things, I think, but the actual writer was a guy who helped out. And I'm not saying he was a bad game designer, but he felt like he was a junior maybe in Planescape Torment.
Only the problem is you can't top Sigil. It's the best setting.
Well,
And
I don't want to top it.
He was thrown, but it's why it's difficult to make something comparative in story depth and weirdness that is still grounded. They took that setting because Wizards didn't want to let him touch anything else, and so they did the Plains setting because that wouldn't affect anything. So yeah, do whatever you want over there in the weird place where nobody goes.
Yeah,
and that can work. That worked well.
I can't remember what the setting was. It was some I don't know the D&D world what it was called, but it was like the ninth world where humanity has gone through 9 iterations, which means it reinvented itself or it rebirthed itself. And I'm like, okay, that's way beyond my imagination. So everything is archaic. There's all these magical artifacts and technological artifacts everywhere. It's such a gigantic world of God knows what that anything is possible. I'm like, oh, that sounds just like something that would be fit right in the world of a Torment story, of rediscovering relics and yourself, and that could work. So all the pieces, the recipe was there. It was the writing and the gameplay. It was like, this is not fun. This is not compelling. The characters aren't that interesting. The way that the guy wrote the story was strange to say the least. And you didn't feel the same compelling feelings you had with all your characters in PlayStation Tournament. So
yeah, the thing with gameplay in that regard is that either it needs to be good, or you must be able to ignore it. And in Planescape Torment, you could ignore the bad gameplay.
Because you were motivated to, I want to see what happened. Where can I go next?
Not just that. But it allowed you that, and it was more interesting to not engage in the horrible combat system.
Okay.
So these two things come together for that game. It didn't need a good game. Contrary to Nintendo's axiom, it didn't need good gameplay because it was mainly a text adventure with a visual backdrop, more or less.
I think there were only 2 or 3 battles you can't get out of in that. So
I think so. Then later on, I was told that even those you could somehow circumvent, but I can't say for sure. It's so long ago.
I know, but it's one of these games that you don't expect to do better than it, but you expect to take the lessons from that. And even if it was on par and it had no bugs, or on par and had better music, like give me something else that I could like voice acting, like do fully voice everything, whatever. Give me that. God. Give me that extra touch. How
long would it take to fully voice act Planescape Torment?
That's a good question. Yeah, that would be like several movies. It would be like
a million lines, and you would have to do several takes because these are long lines.
Yeah, it'd be like narrating War and Peace at least once. I want that. I want the quality. Give me the media. I want to hear that graggly zombie man try to talk to Grace or Nordum or whomever. So
and get the was it an eyeball out of the pickle jar and put it in, and then he remembers what he forgot, and it's great.
Okay.
And then you remember, oh, there's this witch over in that other quarter, and she can decurse the bloody dagger that I got from the demon from the box that I wasn't supposed to open, but I did. So you don't open the box.
Yeah, the hiccups won't stop.
Don't open it.
Anyway.
Don't open it.
That has historically been at various points legacy IP, and some of it is even.
Oh, good that you bring up Star Fox Adventures or something similar to it, because Star Fox Adventures originally was supposed to be Dinosaur Planet, and Nintendo then insisted, no, make it Star Fox. I'd also put this blue fox girl in it. And then Rare was again like, okay. And that's how you got Conker's Bad Fur Day. I'm 100% sure. I want to sit down with one of the Rare developers at some point over a beer.
Questionable to begin with, if the IP is mistreated, unpopular, or just played out. Earthbound, for example, is it mistreated, or have they done everything they want to do with it? F-Zero hasn't sold over 1 million copies in a single game since 2001. Is the franchise inherently unpopular in the modern age, or did they just run out of things they could do with it? More to the point, will F-Zero 99 be the shot in the arm that revives the franchise? Who knows? Star Fox, though, that's a case where I think the franchise is paradoxically unpopular despite how iconic the franchise should be. It has not sold over 1 million copies since 2002.
Let's look at this list.
Wouldn't that be the company's fault of whether or not they make more? Of just, if they don't know what to do with it, that's kind of seems like that's their fault that they don't know what to do.
Yeah. And how good it is. Star Fox Command, by the way, was utter shit. My God, was that a bad game. I actually had that.
Isn't Star Fox Command the one where it's just straight up a soap opera with what they do with the characters?
It's more or less just Star Fox 64, but
multiple endings,
different and a bit differently told, and with this pointless touch screen second thing, and the controls are not fun. The bosses are not fun. It's Star Fox 64 in worse. And going by the sales numbers, that is about how much worse it is. It is an eighth of what Star Fox 64 was. Yeah. Not even a quarter, it's an eighth. On Star Fox Zero. Oh my god, Star Fox Zero. The game that brought the most patient players, people who could without ever twitching a muscle play through Dark Souls and Bayonetta, but Star Fox Zero made you want to break your Wii U pad and throw it into the screen because the controls were so obnoxious. My god, games like that are franchise killers. As simple as.
'64, which probably sent all the wrong messages to Nintendo. But even then, the pseudo-reimagining of Star Fox 64, Star Fox Zero, is one of the worst-selling Nintendo-made Wii U exclusives. Poor marketing, unappealing game, or dead franchise? Well, to give you an indication, Star Fox Command came out on the DS, which had the second biggest install base in the history of gaming at time of writing. But even then, it couldn't crack 1 million copies, so unfortunately
It was bad. It got justifiably bad ratings. That means, hey, parents, kids, don't buy this game. It's shit. Star Fox Zero was the electronics store chain here, the big one in town. They were selling it half price in the release month because it was so bad. They wanted to get rid of their stock. Don't make it like. And if we look at this in chronological order, what do we have here? Oh, the newest one is SNES Classic, Star Fox 2. Yeah, I don't think that counts. It's not even out. Or never came. So the top is Star Fox, the first game. Yeah, breathtaking. Absolutely mind-blowing graphics on the Super Nintendo using the FX chip that gave you 3D on the Super Nintendo, for fuck's sake.
That it is a dead franchise. Star Fox will give Nintendo pause if another game is ever pitched. Then you have something like Golden Sun, which had 2 games that sold relatively decently and 1 game that sold like shit. Then there are
yeah, because you didn't have the original characters anymore, but the children. It wasn't. I played the start of it, and that isn't enticing.
It's
preachy. It takes you by the hand way too much. When the first game was, it let you go. It let you run free.
Yeah.
It gave you a bit of an explanation, but it let you run free. And the third one, it's so hand-holdy and constantly telling you what to do. It's horrible.
Yeah, it's those kinds of mobile games, like they're JRPG light. They're not huge. Like they're not the big JRPGs we want. They're not bad. They're just they're limited by what they can do. So it feels like having a light beer. It's like, it's okay, but it doesn't really do much for you.
Oh, Golden Sun was great. Good puzzles.
Oh, yeah.
They're not super heavy puzzles like Lufia, but decent. And absolutely amazing graphics on the Game Boy Advance. The particle effects with the camera movements at the same time. You just wanted to play more, to see that spell again.
Yeah, same with Grandia. That would be an official, I would say, official JRPG. It's not light. It's just big game. So there's great like Grandia 2. I mean,
I don't know. It had a nice dynamic battle system.
Yeah, like these are.
It was this what you see today sometimes with like Xenoblade, where it is turn based, but you also run around in real time to reposition yourself. and that was fun.
All right. Oh, we got a super chat from Dark Lelouch G. All right, thank you, sir. If you wanted insane money, KOTOR series extension and/or faithful, example, no woke editing, remake, full creative license, and pull in the original KOTOR 1 and 2 devs into Advise, but that will never happen. Apparently, KOTOR is not dead, or the remake is not dead. There's an announcement that was like a month ago saying
they scrapped the previous remake, is what I take.
I don't know if they scrapped it, but they're not dead. We thought it was dead like a year ago. Yeah.
They must know that nobody would want this.
Oh, we don't know the exact because we saw not a trailer, but it was announced. We're like, oh, okay, fine.
They were smart enough. They were smart enough to scrap the woke Vampire the Masquerade 2.
I get updates to that every month, and I'm like, oh, they're still working on that. I see a trailer of a new class, like the Banu Hakim or whatever they're called. I'm like, oh, that's an actual class from White Wolf. Cool. They give me like 5 seconds of gameplay. I'm like, what the fuck? Is that all you got? And they have like an interview with the guy who did it, and you're like, guys, you're not selling me on your game. You're talking about stuff that might have happened 2 years ago for something that hasn't been released yet. I was like, what you do, this is the greatest lesson I learned from BioWare. Before you release your game, you have 2 weeks, if not 3 weeks to a month, of ads, of video ads, reveals, advertisements on the traditional sense. So
actual gameplay, not just cutscenes.
Yeah, character reveals, gameplay, all that. But you just dump it out and you space it out every few days. And you get the hype going. You get another video. Another video. It's completely different than the other one. And you learn about the Vanguard class. You learn about Samara. It's like, oh my God, this looks amazing. And you just keep building until the Super Bowl hits. And then they rent out a box and they do a live stream on Facebook. And you're like, oh my God. So there's no effort can't be spared for good marketing campaigns.
Do you remember the TV ad for Secret of Mana?
I think I do. They
made a little cartoon, and it was a really cute style. It captured the vibrant beauty of Secret of Mana, and it was the boy picking up the sword from inside the water beneath the mana tree, which is not how it happens in the game, but it gives you it captures the entirety of what's going on, and then you'd get a bit of gameplay footage. And it's just this dynamic, vibrant stuff on the screen that just screams fantasy adventure. And that's all you need. That's all you need for a good ad.
Well,
have a good presentation and show what's actually in it.
All they had to do was show the intro, and that would have been the ad. The same with Chrono Trigger. Show the intro. That would have been the ad.
Chrono Trigger, I'd go with that more, because the intro to Secret of Mana is just the very pixelated
birds,
a picture of the mana tree slowly going up and the music playing.
Yeah, but like as soon as I put in Secret of Mana, I was like, wow, this is going to be awesome, because the music was just so on point and the birds going across the screen.
Yeah,
I thought this was magical, and then you play it, it's even more magical. So, the game speaks for itself, the visuals speak for itself, and for visuals at that time, which was like the 90s, early 90s, you're like, holy crap, this is going to be cool. So,
and you fly on a dragon, and it's this
Mode 7 graphics.
View.
That's great.
Yeah.
Beautiful stuff.
Beautiful.
Then there are other individual examples of franchises over the years that had mediocre popularity despite being considered some of the greats. Ninja Gaiden, despite having many games and several re-releases, has allegedly sold less than 7 million units collectively.
Is he complaining?
Oh, no.
Is he complaining that Ninja Gaiden is not as popular as it should be?
Oh no, only 7 million.
Like, it's a niche thing.
We're gonna starve.
If you don't like really hard action games, I mean, I get frustrated too, so it's not for everyone, but yeah.
I can't pay my daughter's Harvard tuition with only 7.7 million sold copies.
Yeah.
beloved franchise, lauded for its tight gameplay and adorable aesthetics, but every main game was known to be a flop to the point that it was surprising the remake ever got made. Anybody remember Skylanders? That was a series that was a billion-dollar franchise at one point, then in a matter of like 5 years completely bottomed out, with Imaginators only selling something like 66,000 copies.
Okay, I've never heard of this. When did this come out? Nintendo Switch?
This was relatively well received here too. I saw it in the shop all the time, and I thought like, I'll look into it later.
Yeah.
And then
It sounds like it did well in Japan. They tried to bring it over to the West, and they didn't know how to do it.
They did a good mix of, with when Nintendo has the amiibos, where you have the little statues and they store some data in an RFID chip, and the Skylanders did a similar thing. You had an actual toy figurine, and could use that somehow, and later on, they had these things combinable so that you could use the top and the bottom to make your own combinations of them, and also had that mechanic in the game. That's all I remember about it. And that technically, that either can be very interesting or very off-putting. It always depends on what the current generation is. But yeah. Some things don't live forever.
Arguably the first video game mascot, but unfortunately outside of iOS and Android hasn't sold anything exceptionally well in God knows how long. Legacy of Kain was another one that had its heyday back on the PS1, but then faltered with several sequels that never broke the 1 million unit mark.
It didn't need to.
So
first off, you need to get even, and then you want a nice profit. You don't need the fucking million.
Yeah,
it's bullshit.
I would have been happy just with Soul Reaver and left it there, but these games do not necessarily need all these sequels. They don't need all these iterations, and it's how the story is told. It's how the game is made. They could have gone on to make their own other gothic version of vampires running around. So, you trust the dev team who did this. Like, okay, can you do something new? Give me your ideas. Pitch your title to me. Like that's what you want to do with stuff like this. I'm sure everyone on the team has their own game design.
Yeah.
So
and look, when you look at this thing, Blood Omen, that was still in the ancient days when you didn't have everyone playing video games, and it's also a niche genre.
Oh, super niche, yeah.
Yeah. So those are amazing numbers for that. Then you have the big impact with Soul Reaver, absolutely brilliant game, and all the ones afterwards, that's a solid number. That's something you can work with, where you can anticipate, okay, we're making about this much with this franchise. That's how we can aim our development, so we don't overspend on development.
Yeah,
but we have an income stream with which we can work.
I don't think that sequels from Soul Reaver wouldn't have worked, but I don't. If they had different characters and they did something new, then I'd be like, all right, I'll check it out. But
a lot of the whole Legacy of Kain series is the story.
Yeah, it's just give me something new. Don't give me the same Kain fellow running around. It's like, okay, yeah, we got it. It's good. I don't know. I love the first game.
It's a super interesting world that throughout the games really develops. It's as if you have it's very. From the game world here, it's quite similar to Dark Souls.
Okay, I just thought the jump to 3D with the second game and what they did with the ideas of the spirit realm, like you're giving me so much different and something new, and you have to then keep going. You have to keep one-upping yourself, and if you don't do that, it's just going to be like, okay, what's another RPG? So, I don't know. I really love these two games. The other three, I'm like, they're fine.
Jacob in the chat asks, wasn't there a Final Fantasy game that had over 1 million copies sold, but Squaresoft still took a loss on it?
Which one's that?
I could imagine that's something like 12.
Oh, you mean the
one where the mechs turn into cars to get stronger instead of the other way around?
Front Mission? No, I don't think so.
I don't know.
Maybe. Who knows?
Yeah, but this is a good example of over developing your game because you're too overconfident, and then it doesn't matter how much you sell, you'll make a loss.
Well,
it's like the not ideologically driven version of what Disney does with Star Wars.
Well, I remember when Final Fantasy VIII came out, that was like, oh, everyone loves 7, 8's going to be even better. And the mini game ended up being better than the Tetra Triad or whatever it's called. Ended up being more fun than the actual game. Triple Triad, thanks. Like that was to me that I can't wait to play Triple. I'm just going around hitting the X button or the square button, just like I want to play Triple Triad. We had this big deep conversation of dying. It's like, oh, you want to play some Triple Triad?
Yeah, you know what I think Blizzard should have done with Hearthstone? Only make it accessible within World of Warcraft, where you have to go to the card club, like in Pokemon, the Pokemon trading card game for the Game Boy, and then sit down with the other player to play the fucking card game.
Well, I do know it's sold not as good as Final Fantasy VII because the idea behind 7 was, well, what if we had the hardware to make the models in the pre-rendered stuff be in real time? And they didn't do that in the PlayStation era, but they sort of did that when it was ported over to PC. So obviously that's years later, but the whole idea was to get these beautiful looking games with better, more polygons, better rendered technology to have this really full-fledged JRPG experience that Square at the time was known for. And then they blew their budget on Spirits Within and got bought out by Enix. So, weird stuff. Squaresoft is a very interesting company, but they have a lot of misses. But they still sold like 6 million or 7 million units of Final Fantasy VIII. So,
probably dozens of examples of this. Beloved franchises that were unfortunately never particularly popular or were once popular but then died off. But there is one more big company, and I wanted to save the biggest for last. The company that is probably the most notorious for leaving its franchises to rot. PlayStation.
Oh, PlayStation.
Now, originally, this part of the video was going to be a bit speculatory because much like a lot of companies, their public game sales were rough estimates if they weren't directly publicized. That wasn't until recently when an internal sales record of over 100 PlayStation exclusive games from throughout the years was leaked from games that sold as much as 25 million to as little as 120,000. I can't be 100% sure of the validity, but for the games that have publicized sales data, it's all consistent. And if this is fake, I don't see what the purpose would be if there's no clear agenda. That's a lot of work to go through for no reason. There's a lot of interesting insight into franchise popularity here. I think the most interesting thing to consider are the games that didn't even make the list. Ape Escape didn't even make the list. The Legend of Dragoon made the list.
Wait, why was I?
Halftime entertainment! Frankly, I'm just happy to be included.
But based on what information...
Okay, so does he hate Legend of Dragoon? If so, this guy's awesome, because that game is absolute garbage. I know all these people who love it. I'm like, do you have eyes? Do you like your eyes bleeding from every fight? You never want to. It is like Final Fantasy VII. It was Sony's answer to Final Fantasy VII. It's like, hey, let's make soup without the water. Like, what? No, that makes no sense, Sony. We're gonna do it. We're gonna kill Final Fantasy. It's like by hurting people, by having. It was I could go on about how bad this game is because I had to
make a video about it. Please.
I suffered through it, and I swear I got to the last boss, and I did not give a shit. I was like, I don't care. Like I don't care if I lose. I'm done. I got to the point, and I just can't take it anymore. It was that bad. There's maybe one character I kind of was okay with. Everything else was absolute garbage. Every stereotype you could pull out of your ass in a JRPG. Like that is the stereotype JRPG. Your village burns down. You have the village girlfriend or whatever. Oh my god, everything is so. The main character is the man in black from Final Fantasy VII. His name is Lloyd. It's stupid crap. Just the voice acting is garbage. It's just so stupid.
It has voice acting.
It tries to during the fight scenes. It's so stupid.
I'm sure I know I have a game like that in my history, but I must have repressed it.
If there's a German translation, you have got to check it out. It is so bad. It is amazingly bad.
Oh, if there's a German translation, it's probably improved on the content.
Okay, well, I hope so. It's that bad. Anyway, he knows what he's talking about if he knows that's bad, so that's good enough for me.
The first game sold relatively well as Shock Controller. Meanwhile, the sequel, and especially the threequel, sold atrociously. Then there's Parappa the Rapper, where the first game sold respectably. Meanwhile, allegedly the sequel sold less than 1/10 of that number. Or Knack, which had its first game sell respectably as a launch title to the PS4, then the sequel's sales dropped off the map. Or how about Little Big Planet? It had 3 games that sold pretty well, then Sackboy: A Big Adventure had a massive sales drop-off despite coming out on...
Oh no, it's still over 1 million.
Yeah, that's so weird.
I mean, who cares if the other 2 sequels to that one franchise didn't sell as much?
No, not everything can be Kirby. Not everything can be Yoshi.
And wasn't this the appeal of a time that you could modify your Sackboy and you could make him look like whatever you wanted? Was that one of the selling points? Like, I can't remember, but this is when they were doing motion capture and they were like they could track your movement sort of behavior. And that Sackboy was one of the original, I don't know, things that would be your avatar. I can't remember.
Mike, I talked over you. What were you saying?
Mike.
What you think?
I was talking over you. What were you saying?
I was just saying, who cares if the other sequels didn't sell as much? People still love them. People still love them. It still can, even if it didn't get more games over here in the U.S., they still got more over in Japan.
Oh no, it sells less, but it's still over 1 million. Oh, it's dead.
This man sounds like a I'm sorry if I say this, but this man sounds like a corporate bootlicker.
He sounds like he's on the board or the executive board of some company who doesn't understand the products they're selling.
Well, the popularity of sequels isn't going to be guaranteed. There's lots
he only sees the charts.
And you see, the chart says, Whisp. The chart says.
When the last game had such a sales drop, that means, let's learn what we did wrong so that the next game sells better again. By the way, we still made over 1 million sales, which is the magic number, but now it's not good enough because it's not as much as previously. Hey, make up what's your standard? You just nuked your own standard.
This is kind of like changing genres. Like, it's not always going to mesh well. Or any other spin-off. Like, what was the League of Legends? They obviously they do their own MOBA, but they had those other games that came out, and it was very similar to War Chasers. Like, the guys who made War Chasers made this, and it had some of the characters from the League of Legends roster. So, did it sell very well? I have no idea. It's on Steam still, but that was popular, and it only sold as a result of because people wanted single player games from League of Legends, and it took them so. I don't know why Riot is not doing all kinds of games, because they clearly
they must have the income for it.
Definitely, it's like do other things. You have all these creative people.
It's like what I since vanilla, since classic said about World of Warcraft. Blizzard had this insane income with World of Warcraft, but you did not see that in the resulting development of the game. That money went somewhere, but not to the game development.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, we still have these bugs, and we released the next add-on, and but we had to cut content, and well, you have so much money, you have so much income. You could have waited longer to release the next add-on and flesh it out properly. No problem. The people would have kept playing. No problem. They still believed in your company, but you rushed it anyway, and didn't deliver on the quality. Where did the fucking money go? Yeah. Did that all end up in Bobby Kotick's pocket, or what is that?
That's a whole other issue. I mean, we're talking about Well, he's arguing
we must please the investors in the shares of the thingy for the graph. So we have to rush the content. Like, how about you don't and make a good game like in the 90s?
Well, he's trying to address the issues of a franchise that is no longer being developed because there's lots of reasons. And when you have the issue of a popular franchise like Warcraft, StarCraft, or any of these other big companies that can do quality because they have the resources, obviously, and they don't, we're like, why? What is stopping you? And we saw what they can do with animation. We know the animators are very talented. The storytellers are very good. They can do they did that animation based off Jinx and her sister, Vi, and that was a mini. Was on Netflix, I think it was. Arcane, fantastic series. So they
I just wish they didn't have redesigned and uglified some of the characters.
Oh yeah, but
and as it turns out, the story is not canonical. It's just random shit.
Yeah,
why do you make this and then say it's not canon? What is wrong with you?
Yeah, so they have all these opportunities to make good things, and Arcane is one good example. They can make single-player games.
They could have that, and Arcane is proof they could, forgive me the choice of word, they could make an actual cinematic universe with League of Legends.
That's a good point. Yeah,
absolutely no problem. There is enough lore there if you wouldn't retcon it all the fucking time.
Yeah.
Because that means you don't have any lore.
I know.
Because that's what we see with 40k right now. Rewrite the past. The Dungeons and Dragons. Change character sex retroactively throughout the ages. You don't have lore when you do that. It's gone. It means nothing, because when nothing is concrete, that means nothing exists. I mean, that's how communists think. They think if they just wish hard enough that reality changes to their will. It's this narcissistic god complex. That's why they all have this belief in magic.
Well,
magic in the game is fine. It doesn't work out here.
People who have played LoL or League of Legends for over a decade now can tell you Season 1 was like, and how the characters, and they reinvented characters and they reinvented their kits.
I started when Poppy was introduced. I don't remember whether that was still beta or just after release.
Oh, I was a hardcore Warcraft 3 custom map Dota player, and I would host.
I could never get warm with Dota. It was so stocky to me.
Oh, this is like.
I played. Did you ever play Tides of Blood?
Yeah.
That game destroyed my Warcraft 3 career.
Well, there was a few maps that I
couldn't
played.
Stop.
They were all hero battles, and once LoL was announced, they're like, "Oh, this is what we want. We want a robust MOBA," and they kept changing it several times a year. So now they're so big.
Developing that was great, but when your initial lore is weak, okay, if you will, you just had this thing as a provisorium until you had to just justify having your game, okay, and then later on you build the actual one.
Yeah,
but at some point
backwards.
You need to stop changing it retroactively.
Yeah, if they just sat down for a good, 6 months tops and say, what is our setting? What do we want to make, or what do we want to perceive we'll make in the future? Oh, we want an undead guy, we want a native guy, we want a knightly guy. It's like, great, we're gonna have this kingdom for you.
And get a good writer. If you want to justify why this tournament happens, get a good writer.
Oh, it makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense. The clients, I remember the first few years, they had a lore section where it's like a newspaper.
Yeah.
And you're like, you read it, and it's like, Jax is this guy. And you're like, what? Jax was a dude who did.
In the beginning, they had this idea that, it's the greatest heroes of the realms that do this tournament to solve political disputes. Okay, cool. Okay, then you start introducing like astral gods and other mythical things that are somehow chained to this thing. That's when it gets a bit complicated.
No, it still doesn't make any sense, and it's not about the lore anymore, which is sad because
that's why they changed that.
I know it's like get your frickin' idea right and then make the game, as opposed to we'll just put the stuff together because people like it. It's like anyway.
Positive thing about Dota and even Heroes of the Storm, because they just went with this. In case of Dota, it is the defense of the ancients. It is this eternal struggle between all these powerful forces, and every battle is canonical according to Dota. Every game that is played is canonical because it happens in this multiverse nonsense thing. And in Heroes of the Storm, the idea was, well, there are these extra-dimensional god things that want to be entertained, and so they summon all these heroes from all these different franchises and throw them against each other. And okay, that's silly, but it works enough for a silly game. When you want to make it serious, well, you are setting a high bar for yourself.
So the idea is that it's not a dead franchise, but they haven't made much in the 10 years, and they have all kinds of money. They have oodles of money and resources to do so, and they haven't. And we don't know why, outside of those one or two games that they've made. So anyway, although TFT is pretty cool. I like that.
Separate platforms compared to Little Big Planet 3, which came out on 2 separate platforms. Gravity Rush is another one that didn't even make the list, but that's also another one that, by all sales indications that I could find, couldn't surpass 1 million units for either of its entries. Then there's Jak and Daxter. It surprised me to find out that the very first Jak and Daxter game sold relatively well, as in one of the best-selling PS2 exclusives well. Then it had a severe drop-off in the second game, a further drop-off with the third game, and the fourth game, aka Jak X Racing, didn't even make the list, but internally I've heard it's...
Oh, so they were all over 1 million.
Yeah, but
this looks like it's over 1 million.
Yeah, Jak Racing is, again, it's a genre change. It's like saying Mario Party or whatever. Obviously, it's not going to sell as good as the original Mario. That's fine. What are you expecting? Do not compare apples and oranges. Is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. It's not always about the name. The name can carry
selling
it.
PlayStation-based, not the likes of Way of the Warrior. Medieval didn't make the list in any of its iterations, but reports state that the first game didn't crack 1 million units, though that's a rough estimation. The second game sold worse, and both remakes underperformed.
I didn't see
and
the
hey,
last
I gotta cop
total.
to this one. Twisted Metal, a franchise I've spent the last couple years covering both first and second hand. Well, you got several games that surpassed 1 million units sold, but nothing that made it past 2 million, and the last one to sell over 1 million units was back...
Oh, no, he moved the goalpost to 2 million now.
What's the problem?
It's 1 million isn't good enough anymore.
I'm curious what the problem is. I just don't know.
I don't get this guy.
So basically, the vast majority of their legacy IP was never particularly popular or proved to be unpopular in the long term. And meanwhile, if you look at their top 20 best-selling PlayStation exclusive games, it's exclusively filled with new IP, new iterations.
Okay, so God of War Ragnarok sucks because it didn't sell as much as God of War. Is that what you're saying? Or because it sold 15 million? I don't know. Like, what's the standard? Is it 1 million units or not? Because it didn't do as well as its previous. So is the next God of War game going to sell even less? Is that going to be bad?
Oh, and the Horizon Forbidden West is of course also a failure, totally, because it's what is this, a quarter of what the original, or a third of what the original sold?
I don't remember.
Wow. But do you know what he just said? The list is filled only with new IPs or iterations of old IPs. That's everything. Whatever, is there a third option?
with pseudo semi IPs where they combine IPs? I don't know. Amalgamation games.
This list is only filled with new stuff and with old stuff. Hey,
yeah.
Okay.
What else is there?
Okay. Are you some extra dimensional being that sees more dimensions of time than we can? Because you have to explain. Please explain.
In this bakery we sell fresh bread and day-old bread. Oh my god.
Resmo. It's hard to say why a lot of power or the legs to be popular. Maybe it's marketing, maybe it's appeal, maybe it's demographics, maybe it's Maybelline. At the end of the day, market research exists for a reason. Are modern PlayStation games samey and repetitious? In certain ways, yes, but that's because these are the games that people will buy, and there's historical precedent for this. In fact, full disclosure...
Look a certain way. They're all starting to look fucking goddamn related to me. They're all looking pretty incestuous in the video design there.
Make it brown and gray and add bloom.
Brown and gray, bloom. Oh, hey, look, everything looks pretty, but the game feels more mechanical now. Isn't that great?
Have everything be overgrown with plants.
Yeah, have the same...
Personally, I like that, but when everything is like that, it's not... It's
boring, bland. It's just, you have same health HUDs.
The impetus for this video was a couple of things that happened with Jim Ryan. First of all was many moons ago when he said that story-rich third-person games were the future of PlayStation, which translated to, yeah, that thing we're doing right now that's seen our greatest first-party success in history, yeah, we're gonna continue doing that. People still got very mad at this. The second was when Jim Ryan announced that he was retiring and people rejoiced as if Lex Luthor had been taken down by Superman. Let me preface this by saying, I don't know Jim Ryan, but I'm pretty sure he's not a real-life supervillain who's been attempting to
Well, maybe I will repeat, I will never forgive Sony or that CEO Jim Ryan for letting Japan Studio close.
Okay.
Is that the guy responsible for Sony moving to California?
I guess. I mean, what's the problem here? Just because those people lost their jobs or whatever doesn't mean they're not working in gaming anymore. If you start a career in gaming and you've been doing it and making all these titles, and yeah, you're going to get another job in gaming elsewhere. It's not the end of the world.
From the inside, he is just money. I'd imagine there's no ulterior motive other than that. And further,
we have seen with a lot of CEOs of these companies that that's not what they do. They're incompetent parasites who leech the companies dry and then leave. Look at Bobby Kotick. Look at that fucking weasel. That destructive, disgusting piece of crap who's all too happy with the millions he made after merging Activision Blizzard. And now, as the company's going downhill, he's jumping ship. He only ever leached that thing dry. Nothing else. And we predicted
for
it.
For the record, Jim Ryan has also held his position in PlayStation for decades, so if you don't like the current direction of PlayStation and want to blame him, please note that he very likely also oversaw the era of PlayStation that you liked. I feel like this practice of demonizing people for rather mundane things is a really, really stupid practice.
Okay, but this is what we do with big companies in general. It doesn't matter how much good you do or how many hits you got. Like Microsoft, everyone's going to hate everyone in charge because Microsoft's a big evil company. It does so many things right, and then it does so many things wrong. Like it's normal. You got to blame someone.
Someone's responsible.
This is
not
like,
just blame someone. Someone is responsible, and if you can't find who, then it goes to the top guy because it's his company, and his company fucked up, and if he can't identify what the bloody problem is, who the bloody problem is that caused the bloody problem, well, then it's his fault because he can't steer the ship. That's simply it. Defending those rich F words does not help anyone.
This is a strange flex for him. I don't know why he's trying to...
Oh, don't blame. Complain about the games not selling well, but the people in charge are not actually responsible for that. Well, who is it then? Is it the gamers not buying the games?
This is like I'm a shareholder in, I don't know, PlayStation. If PlayStation was, or Sony was a specific to its gaming department, and I could invest just in that. And I'm like, why aren't you making million sales hit figures for all your games anymore? It's like, what? It's kind of a weird thing to argue.
Yeah. And on the investors and shareholders thing, your real investors are your customers. Because guess what? If you upset them, you're not going to make any sales anymore, and then your also precious shareholders are going to complain, why are your sales so low? Because the people who actually make your money are your customers, so maybe you should produce for them. Same goes for Hollywood. Maybe if you want to make money on your movies, which I don't think you want to, I think you would just want to preach. If you want to make money on your movies, you should make them for an audience that actually watches them. If these people were actually as greedy as we think they are,
all right. Well, we can
then they would make quality content that sells.
Yeah.
But I think they just take that they just launder money out of these companies and into their pockets.
We know
that Hollywood especially, they can write off movie failures on the taxpayer.
Well, we could stop right here, because if he's going to keep defending big corporations for whatever, he has a mixed.
Well, let's see if he does. Give him.
I'll give him a minute. Because this is getting kind of weird. It's like, this is weird takes. I don't know what they have to do with anything.
We're near the end. Might as well see the madness this man.
Well, let's maybe.
We're at the halfway point.
Okay, let's keep going.
I'm telling lies.
Matter of fact, let's go back to that meme from earlier. You see, things like this is the manifestation of toxic egotism.
All right.
But you just wait. But you just advertise for egotism, though.
Oh God, toxic egotism. You don't. Okay, I hate it when people do this, but they use these words.
How dare you don't buy the games?
Okay.
How dare you? So the customers are at fault for not buying the games.
Well, okay. First he said,
"How dare you want something else?"
Yeah.
I made a mud cake and put a chocolate icing on it. Don't you like the chocolate cake?
I put a scorpion's tail in the chocolate cake. Why aren't you eating it?
First he used the term toxic, which always grates on me. Then he used the egotism word a few times. Then he brought it back. I'm like, okay, dude, you didn't have to do that. Then he called it toxic egotism. What the hell is that? Now he's talking about social media. I don't care about social media.
You know what my egotism is about buying games?
Okay.
It's the limitations of my wallet. My wallet is very, very picky. If I see a game that contains shite, my wallet doesn't want to... It just doesn't want to give me the money to spend it on.
Well, let's see what he has to say.
I don't know why. It just remains shut. I can't. It's like a clam. I can't get it open.
Let's see what he has to say about social media. If it's anything intelligent, we'll keep going. If not, what's the point? Complaining about a ghost. Like, okay, sure.
Denying things that are true, pushing things that aren't true, and also doing it in a toxic way that downplays a lot of hard work by a lot of people, and essentially gatekeeps what...
Oh no!
Gatekeeping.
Oh no!
Here
They all worked really hard on the thing that is shit. Yeah, my go-to example is always the Ghost in the Shell movie.
Wait.
Looks great, wonderful. Lots of people worked on it. Amazing props. Shitty writing.
How do people who are complaining on Twitter gatekeep anything? Like, what are you talking about? Who are they preventing people from doing?
They're preventing people from spending money on things somehow. They jump right in between the money spending transaction on Steam or good old games.
Yeah.
And they ambush people who go to MediaMarkt or what it's called in your country. And just jump at them in front of the shelf so they can't take out the game from the shelf.
They have a hashtag.
So that's how you gatekeep people from buying games.
Yeah, you're just saying, I don't like this thing, hashtag the thing I don't like. You're like, okay, great.
I think he also just implied that people who want some diversity of titles and stuff like that gatekeep others. That sounds stupid.
I don't understand this at all.
All right. Well, let's again one more minute. It's just like, dude, come on.
Gatekeeping is nothing else but having a standard that you don't want things to drop below.
Allowed to enjoy. This is just my feelings without
Oh no!
ruffling feathers because this is something that a lot of people get weirdly angry at. That is to say, the state of modern PlayStation.
That was Legend of Dragoon. That reticule you'll see, that's the fight. That's the combat system. It's all quick QTEs, and the other one is this ball on a circle. It goes round and round and round. When it gets to the little line at the bottom, you have to hit the QTE, and then if you hit it right, you know what happens? The screen flashes white. Oh, it's so fun! It's fantastic.
Also, your reward for getting the mini game that I specifically hate is you get an epileptic seizure.
It's fantastic. It's brilliant. It's amazing game design. Oh god.
But here's the thing. I've been with PlayStation whether I like it. Either way, I've played most of these franchises and like most of them. I like The Last of Us, but I also generally like Jak and Daxter, except for the third game. Really, it's Uncharted I'm most lukewarm on. But either way,
Also, it's your fault that game didn't sell as well. Because you didn't like it as much. How dare you gatekeep people from liking Jak and Daxter?
It's like he has opinions, and he's not realizing his opinions might be negative. That might impact sales figures.
Can't you think of the poor developers who put so much work into Jak and Daxter 3?
Yeah, it's
by the way, that's an e-begging argument.
Well, it's like the game is bad. I'm hesitant to look at the sequel. Oh, I didn't buy the sequel. I'm the problem. What's the culture of dead game franchises? I'm at fault. I'm the culture. Like, okay.
Was I the villain all along?
The game was rigged from the start. It sounds as if the franchise had its time and it's not as good as you remember it. Like, yeah, why did that happen?
Yeah. Also, could it be that the original developers who knew what to do about it to make it amazing are not there anymore? Even sometimes it's just one key developer that's missing and the whole thing falls apart.
Yeah.
We will never get the grandeur of Rareware titles because Rareware is gone.
Yeah. Well, anyway, this is... I don't know if he's just missing his own statements or he's just wanting to make a video and rant about stuff. It's a weird take because he's got some idea and he looks at data and I'm like, that's good, but you're not making sense of the data. You're just sort of...
He could have made something interesting about this topic. I'm sure, but this is not it.
Yeah.
I don't discriminate against old Naughty Dog or new Naughty Dog. In fact...
Really? Why not? What's your basis for aesthetics and value?
They put so much work into making the game. So many men.
Yeah, that's weird.
Against old PlayStation or new PlayStation. I really enjoyed the first Ape Escape game. The later entries I can take or leave.
Yeah, but that's like saying the first PlayStation had this litany of games, the second PlayStation had this litany of games. I don't really compare the two. It's like, well, why not?
He just admitted again that because of him, the sales figures are less for the sequels.
Yeah, like when I saw, was it MGS4? Was that on the PS3 when it came out?
That was the PS3.
PS3. I was like, I'm not going to buy an entire console just to play that. So I skipped MGS4. And, you know, there's reasons for that. There's financial reasons. Like, I don't want to play that much. I'm curious, but I'll wait for reviews. And when I saw, I was like, oh, this is more Hideo Kojima craziness. So it's, you know, there's lots of reasons why we don't keep buying more games of the same genre or the same series because of consoles or whatever. So, yeah, no, there's all kinds of reasons why people don't buy games.
And I even enjoyed the remake. I have fond memories of Little Big Planet and Ratchet & Clank, and y'all already know what I think about Infamous, Twisted Metal, and God of War. Matter of fact, I'm gonna throw a bone to my old school fans. Legend of Dragoon. one of my favorite games.
Oh, we're done. We are so done. Screw this guy. Forget. I thought he was making a bad joke about, how did Legend of Dragoon make it on this series? No, this guy is trash. His opinions are trash. He has no idea what he's talking about. I will. This is my hill.
It gets worse. It gets worse.
No, this. What gets worse?
The takes just get worse.
Oh, you're kidding.
It's a descent into madness now.
No,
it is.
How do you get worse than Legend of Dragoon? It's so bad. Everything about it.
We have to keep going now. Come on.
Oh God.
This is great.
For me, it's not about what is and isn't popular or what is and isn't good.
Then why did you bring up all these stats?
What is it?
Why did you have all these numbers about millions of sales and blah blah blah? Why even talk about that if it doesn't matter?
What is even left? What is even left, and why does Kratos' shadow look like a swastika?
This does not equal subjective crap in a lot of unpopular games that I love. It's about having the intellectual honesty and self-awareness of our own egotism to understand.
Oh God, no, stop.
What does it mean?
The self-awareness.
What are you talking about?
Of your imaginary negative emotion or
intellectual. What intellect? So you don't care about whether the game is any good. You don't care about what was the other thing?
Sales.
Yeah, I don't know.
So what? But it's where does intellectual honesty come in? And what do you mean with egotism? Dude, I don't have $5 million in the bank so that I can buy every game in the world. I still gift good friends a game or two once in a while when they're on sale.
I don't know what he means by egotism when you're talking about games or gaming. It's a pastime. Yeah, it's fun.
He did not explain that.
When people have a preference, it's a preference. We understand you like Mega Man over Castlevania. Cool, good for you. It's not like I'm going to die on the hill that Mega Man is the best game ever or something stupid like some crazy person. It's just you like it. That's fine.
Do I have to buy every game? What is this? What does he want?
Egotism. I just don't. It's such a strong word. I just don't associate that with gamers. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh no, they put so much work into all these games. How dare you didn't buy it? That's egotistical of you. Look, dude, that sounds like gaslighting and emotional extortion to make me spend money on shit I neither want nor need.
I really want to stop, but we're going to keep going.
No, we need to know what is going on here.
He's not going to explain himself. He's not going to define the terms. He's just going to keep rambling.
Yeah, but we can. The more we hear him talk, the more we can map out the strange logic in his head.
If I know someone who likes Legend of Dragoon, everything they've ever said to me in their life is already null and void. I don't care. They could tell me the sky is falling and it could be true. I'm like, no. You like Legend of Dragoon. Something is wrong with you. It's opposite day every day for you. It doesn't matter.
Is that like saying The Room is the greatest movie ever made?
Well, you could make entertainment value based off bad things, and if you understand.
Oh yeah. Can you bad entertainment enjoy Legend of Dragoon?
Well, if you close your eyes when you're not getting the anaphylactic shocks, I guess. The rest, it is like a B movie. It is that bad. And you're like, holy shit.
See,
lines of dialogue,
there you go.
Voice acting. It rips off Final Fantasy VII and every other JRPG you've ever played. The loading times, the force seat.
He probably loves Red Letter Media, Wheel of the World.
I don't know. It's interactive stuff is very personal. And having to sit through I actually sat through that game. I was in awe. Like this is supposed to be Sony's best take at Final Fantasy VII.
It was a 7-car pileup. You couldn't look away.
It was like, what is this beast that has been created? Yeah, it was amazing how bad it is. Anyway. If you guys don't believe me, I'm sure you could find a because people love this game, so you could probably find a downloadable copy and check it out. Anyway,
Do I love it for the same reason that you sat through it?
Yeah, I bet. It's so classic JRPG, dude. It's like every iteration of a JRPG trope. You just throw it together. Your village gets burned by the evil villain. You have to go chase him down. You have the schoolyard girl crush who ends up confessing their love to you at the end. It's like, oh my god, this is so cheesy. It's so stupid.
Don't you know what's going on? This is vanilla flavor. It is the most beloved flavor by everyone. Everybody likes vanilla. It doesn't put off anyone. Nobody hates vanilla.
No. That's not what this is. Vanilla, it's like
vanilla.
No, vanilla. Like every flavor.
Is it vanilla with onions?
I don't know where we're going with this analogy, but there is nothing wrong with plain experience. Like if you wanted a plain, like a Dragon Quest 1, like play that. That's a very basic JRPG. If you could even think of it as a JRPG, because at the time no one had those ideas in the West. But with this, it's so generic. It's so lame. It's so like there's nothing creative about it. I can't think of like the side characters are so dumb. The music is, there might be one or two pieces of music that are a bit uplifting, but other than that, it's kind of lame. The battle music is nauseating. The guy's main name is Dart. Like that's the main character's name.
What?
Dart. The main villain's name is Lloyd. Dart versus Lloyd. That's the story. Not Cloud versus Sephiroth. Dart versus Lloyd. I'm like,
That's amazing.
Anyway.
It is the room.
Maybe. I don't know. I hate it so much. It's anyway. We're gonna keep going.
Because we like something doesn't mean it's important to you, doesn't mean it's important to everyone, or is important to everyone, or is important generally, and the opposite is true as well. Just because something is popular that you don't like, it shouldn't downplay the popularity, and more to the point, doesn't mean it's also important to other people. And never...
Oh, no. World of Warcraft was extremely popular, but it was not good.
It was different and interesting for the first, I think, 2 years, 3 years maybe.
It knew how to. Well, it was a rough diamond that never got proper polish, and by the time that began, everyone, even the last guy who had any original connection to Warcraft, was gone. That thing went downhill because in the during the alpha, that was when the schism in Blizzard happened.
Yeah, there was
where all the people who cared about, we want to make good games for gamers.
Yeah,
went out because the other half wanted to make money.
Yeah, there was the Richard Garrick MMO. There was EverQuest. There was a few others that never.
Yeah, the Richard Garrick MMO. That's Vanguard, and that's where World of Warcraft ripped off most of its most creative ideas. That World of Warcraft is so innovative. They stole it from Vanguard. The Death Knight is a class in Vanguard. The Calamity things with the Druid, that's Vanguard. That was all already over there.
The idea made sense because I remember playing for at least 3 years Warcraft 3 custom maps, saying, wouldn't it be great if we just store all of our data? We didn't have to keep starting from zero with our hero battles or whatever. You're thinking, yeah, that could work, maybe. But it never appealed to me for whatever reason. I tried it. My buddy was into it because he was a network admin, and that's what he would play in between his tasks because he had lots of time. So I tried it for about half an hour. I'm like, this is okay if you like mining and running around a big map, and it's like fine. It just never did it for me. So, yeah.
But the what I'm aiming at with World of Warcraft was not real quality. It knew how, so it lived from the brand. It lived from the expectations of the brand. It had already a fleshed out story that the core audience already knew and was invested in. And from that, you can live off of that for very long, and it had a well enough fluent gameplay loop with a timeless art style. And that is an extremely good mix in and of itself. That because there were lots of other MMORPGs out there, but they could not compare to that because they did not have those elements. And that does not, but because World of Warcraft had this influx of growing audience because of all these factors, and then eventually it becomes a self. I'm lacking the word here, like a spiral. It's a not perpetuum mobile, but you hopefully you know what I want to say. It just exponentially grew. Once that happens, you do not have the incentive to make it real quality anymore. Because you get the money anyway. You are growing anyway. If you didn't, then you would actually need to appease your core audience by fixing the bloody game and putting effort into what you make. And yes, they did put in effort into the stuff they made, but not enough. And not with enough finesse. But at least in vanilla, they were trying out cool things. Some went against the wall, but they did. They were positively experimental. And to this day, many people say, I think it's the majority, that the coolest things were done in vanilla. And it is also, and also with scale. And it's also why later on people wanted their vanilla servers, because the expansions that World of Warcraft had brought out didn't even resonate with the players anymore. And not just the original ones, but also the new ones. And that's when Blizzard at one of the BlizzCons was on the stage, and somebody asked, "Hey, will you do vanilla servers?" And Blizzard said, "No, why would you want that? That's stupid. Nobody wants that." Well, there were already tons of private servers running vanilla. And then they put up their vanilla servers after all, seeing that that is an income stream. And people flooded them. Because they went so off the rails with their game design that people rather wanted the diamond in the rough again. Because the way they cut that diamond was crap. But still, millions of subscribers. So the pressure just isn't there. There's not the pressure to make the game truly good. And I've recently looked into the starting experience that they revamped for the retail version now, and it is absolutely atrocious. It is like a Disney. Like a Disney park ride where you're in this little cart and you can't do anything, and there's just these singing animatronic things all around you, and it's like a little nightmare. It just doesn't end. Full of exposition dump and information that you don't need and that has no relevance ever again. It's horrible. These people do not know what they're doing. They still get the money. It's popular, but it's not good. And it's okay to say that it's not good. That's critique. Critique is the engine of improvement. You don't want critique. That means you don't want to be told that you did something wrong or that you could improve something, which means if you could improve something, that means that you're not perfect right now. And that is ego. That's narcissism. That is what you should criticize. Instead, you say that people who critique things are wrong. Fucking hell.
Alrighty. Let's at least go into 20 minutes. Let's see who's going to say next.
See more consistent misplacement of important towards popular games, or never more will you see people taking the popularity or lack of popularity of various game franchises more weirdly personally than with PlayStation discourse. The phrase of the day is intellectual dishonesty, because the amount of vitriol I see get sent to
I don't care.
Fuck SJWs, fuck the far left, fuck the Communist Party of China. How's that intellectually dishonest? Fuck Namco, fuck Facebook, fuck Crapcom, fuck Square, fuck communism, to hell with them all. What is intellectually dishonest about that? Let's just send them here.
They are in the pockets of the Chinese.
That's what's intellectually honest about wishing to hell the thing that killed over 200 million people in the most cruel and dumb way possible? Intellectually dishonest.
And who cares about a bunch of people on social media saying, like, I don't care. This is not an argument. This is just a bunch of people voicing their opinions, and you bothered to read the, like he posted before, like all these messages. It's like, dude, why are you wasting your time? Who cares?
Complaining about Neil Druckmann. That's completely justified. The man ruined the franchise, threw out one of the best female writers in the industry for feminism. Like, he's the male feminist, and he fires one of the best female writers in the industry. Congratulations. The one for Soul Reaver, by the way, and Legacy of Kain. What the fuck is going on with you? Do you really know what you're talking about? Are you able to string together what is going on?
All right.
Yeah, of course people want rather Jack and Daxter games from Naughty Dog, because what they made instead is just deranged.
I'm curious if he means by intellectually dishonest people who make these opinions and have honest reasons why they dislike games or will not buy games from another company again. It's as if he wants the franchises he likes to do well, aside from the ones he doesn't.
As from him putting that specific one in the center, I have to assume he is pro-communism, he is pro-SJWs, pro-far left, pro-Communist Party of China, and pro-Crapcom, which, well, is captured by that and makes crap lately. Which is, by the way, all the exact same thing.
All right.
Man.
People who can't mentally reconcile these. To me, this is what the whole thing comes down to. Not being able to mentally reconcile these things is one thing, but making it everyone else's problem is where things start to get toxic. And I believe
that's the SJWs make their bullshit magic problems that are in their heads.
Yes, the toxicity.
Everyone else's problem.
The toxicity
that's
of
the
reading,
toxic people.
Well, no, this is the toxicity of reading too many tweets. It's like, what is your problem? Stop reading them. Stop listening.
Yeah, but this is where he misidentifies the issue. The people who say fuck SJWs say fuck the people who call everything toxic while they are the toxic ones. So you are complaining about the guy who complains about the people who complain all the time and ruin the fun and push their magical fetishes into everything. Maybe people don't want to be preached communist propaganda in every fucking game. Maybe we want escapism. Maybe we don't want the Gramscian culture war. You don't, but you don't have standards. You don't care whether the game is good or not. So how dare you complain that people complain that there are people who ruin the games if you don't have standards in the first place? Then just ignore the entire the entire discourse, the entire complaining machine, and just play the games.
All right.
You're enjoying just blinking things on the screen anyway because you have no standard.
I'm just tired of this because all he's doing is complaining about the people online, which is who cares? Mm-hmm. Who cares what other people are saying? That they're just being honest.
And he has no logic to it. This is completely irrational. It's insane.
That developers should be able to make what they want and not be held to arbitrary standards. And even though we're mostly talking about PlayStation
well, at least
right
there are
now,
some
that
standards.
goes for every developer. There's also a tendency towards cognitive dissonance, I find. Over the years, I've seen hundreds of variations on the phrase, X developer needs to go back to making creative games instead of the games they're making now, and their definition of creativity...
Yeah, but that's a callback to the things you made in the past were good, the things you're not making now are crap. Can you please make the things that are good again? That's a completely logical statement. After you've seen crap come out that maybe you even paid money for, because you thought this is the company that makes quality, and then you bought their new thing, which is crap, and you're disappointed, you're frustrated, maybe you're even angry because, well, in a way they stole your money through false advertisement, because the company name itself suggests quality. And if that is in relation to, oh, it's a sequel to a great game, and then that sequel is just an insult to everything in existence, the previous game as well as your intellect and anything you can come up with. Yeah, people feel cheated. They're justifiably frustrated. And you who say, oh, everybody needs to be able to like everything. Well, people can like the bullshit. It just means they like bullshit. If you don't have standards, as I said, stop complaining that people have. Just because you don't share the standard doesn't make it arbitrary.
It's regurgitation. To those people, you can just say you want old franchises back without presenting it as some sort of greater issue than it is. Because that is an egregious level of intellectual dishonesty. I feel like it's a tired, regurgitated talking point that people repeat without actually understanding the point they're trying to make. Heads. Despite having a working understanding of it, I've never played a Horizon game, and I probably never will because I have no interest. Doesn't mean it's not successful or creative. I also haven't played a Mario game.
But that means it sells a copy less and will eventually sell, that the third one will sell even less, and it's your fault, and it doesn't crack the 1 million or 2 million or whatever your arbitrary, not just arbitrary, but constantly changing standard is. Look in the fucking mirror.
Because this is a franchise that doesn't really interest me, but it's still to video games what Mickey Mouse is to cinema. Either way, it's not worth taking these things seriously or personally, because the popularity of a game you like or lack thereof does not diminish your ability to enjoy it, and the success of things you don't like doesn't automatically make it bad. You don't need validation to like something, and if you want the validation of your favorite things being popular, then you're in this for the wrong reasons. Like, seriously, be more secure in the things you like. It's okay for things to be niche, and it's okay to like things that are niche and not have to treat them as something bigger than what they are. It's also...
Yeah, but you could say the same things about things you dislike. That's fine. What's the problem? He just doesn't like negativity? Is he a positive guy? Is he just not like people having different opinions than he does? I don't see the problem here. And I think we figured out what the culture is. The culture is his understanding of people online makes this group of whatever voices that formulate this negative, toxic behavior of people saying, I dislike a thing in various ways. I don't see how that's a bad thing. That's a good thing. That is people saying, I dislike a thing, and here's the dozens of reasons why of different people saying different things. Fine.
Yeah, and I can criticize a good game just as I can criticize a bad game.
Yeah, and then we talk about it and we say, "Oh, why do you think that?"
If I was a gaming magazine, that would be game journalism, the actual one. Crap that they sell us as that.
I wish we could do this with fans of the sequels for Star Wars. I wish we could do that, but they won't talk to us because they know they're going to get crushed. They know that their opinions are subjective. They're not thinking critically. It's like, yeah, sure, have all the negative opinions you want or all the positive. Great. When you want to talk about it and you don't show up, then it's like, okay, well, who cares?
Yeah. Oh, Tyler Preston mentions the term toxic positivity, which is a use of the word toxic that is actually applicable and that he is leaning towards here. Don't criticize anything. Don't be negative. You must see the positive in everything and leave everyone alone. Like, no, because that's how we get shit. Oh, but what if I like high fructose corn syrup? Yeah, you're killing yourself because you're addicted to a substance that your body can't even process.
I think we could stop. I think we can stop here. He's just going to go on and on about other people's opinions he doesn't agree with on social media.
It's like 8 minutes left.
I know, but what's the point? He likes Legend Dragoon, okay? He's defending. It doesn't matter if he says God is real, blah, blah, blah. No, Legend Dragoon, you're wrong. Every opinion you've had is now made immaterial to me. And honestly, he's just complaining about Twitter. I don't care.
Look, Gingerman just came in. Now we need to continue.
No, we don't. We can zoom to the end. We can zoom to the end and hear some bullshit about God knows what on Instagram or something.
I mean,
Final 2 minutes of madness?
No, maybe 1 minute. He doesn't deserve my
That
time.
will just be. I always say 2 minutes because the last one is likely just chilling.
Where am I? 27. There we go. Okay, there we go.
That will communicate the issue without pissing too many people off. I didn't say any of this to be a dick or a tool, I just wanted to communicate a sentiment that I feel needed to be said for a long time. And if you feel I was mean-spirited, I genuinely apologize because that was not my intention. But if you like what I do here and want to support the channel, you can like this video, leave a comment telling me what
Yeah, that was useless.
Oh wait, no, the other there's a bit more from the other half.
There's more?
No, just the 7 minutes before this is just the end part. We skipped to the end on accident.
Yes,
right.
we did.
Yeah.
We did.
Honestly, he's just complaining about other people. It's like, I read a thing online that people said stuff I disagree with. Why are they so negative? It's like, what the hell kind of an argument?
He's not rational. He's trying to be the emotional arbiter because he doesn't even understand the conflict.
I still don't know what the frustrating culture of dead game franchises are unless we're talking about people you disagree with online. It's like, that's not a culture. That's just a bunch of people online.
He explained it as well as The Secret of Mario's Jump.
Oh.
It's just a weird title to catch your eye, but there's actually nothing about it in there.
Yeah. Anyway, we can go to memes. I don't really care, but this guy, oh jeez. I used to like his videos. What happened?
What?
May 11th. What in God's name? It's my IP to sit on and do nothing with. Yeah, pretty much. The future of a kart racing is here, and things are looking up.
A kart racing.
What? Oh, okay.
It's Mario Kart 7 and 8.
Yeah. All right. Why am I clicking on the same image?
Captain Falcon is frustrated.
My brain.
He did it first.
My brain age 10 when someone says which. My brain age 29 when someone says which.
That's from when you get a game over in Banjo-Kazooie.
Yes. Gruntilda manages to leech out the youth of Banjo's little sister and turns herself young and pretty again.
Aren't you a
Which
damsel?
also means that women who look like this will look like the old Gruntilda when they age.
Okay.
Be careful.
Aren't you a damsel in distress? I'm a damsel. I'm in distress. I can handle this. Have a nice day.
Yeah.
Take me, Banjo. I've been waiting for this moment for over a decade. Gah.
Oh no.
Nuts and bolts. It's a late Christmas present, but I ripped Fat Banjo from Banjo-Kazooie. Nuts and bolts. It's unrigged and unfortunately in an A pose, but I hope you still enjoy it.
That looks so disgusting.
For modding, I get. Yeah, it said literally everyone when that game came out.
And this is...
It was not made by Rare, it just had the stamp on it.
Knights, I think.
Yes.
Been a while. Knights was awesome. So many 90s mascots. Goombly, what the hell?
Wimbley.
Help?
Oh my god.
Look at you, so young and happy. Where did the years go?
Okay. His model is ugly. His moveset isn't faithful, and they couldn't even be bothered to include Mr. Millipede. Sakurai really effed up at this one.
Smash joke.
Yeah. Oh.
Monkey ball reference.
Yeah. A bunch of dudes fighting all at the same time. Meep.
Melee!
Okay.
Was he the template for Jar Jar Binks?
He's the old platformer mascot type of character.
I can do my iconic Gwimbly victory dance for only $5. Yeah.
How did that console ever sell?
Okay. Hey, Tootie, sorry I'm late. I was doing stuff. I'm stuff. OMG. Y'all nasty. All right. Let's not. Yes, that's Kazooie. Was there a point to this shit thread of your worthless life, OP?
Kazooie.
Kazooie. After the trip from the Mount Fire Eyes, Kazooie, you sure are quiet today.
Oh no.
Thinking about the Banjo-Kazooie bimbofication machine.
That's basically what it was.
Yeah, she turned herself into Lara Croft.
This, remember Puffy from Nights into Dreams? This is her now. Feel old yet?
Oh,
What?
Some of us did have a Saturn, I guess. Wow, so cute. Sees full design. Har har. You're stupid. I like that in a man. What?
I mean, she kind of does.
I just realized something. The name of this shipping between Mega Man Volnut and Tronbone is Mega X Tron.
Megatron.
Har har. You can get in trouble for helping a Darkstalker. The people of this town won't mind. The people are much more receptive to Darkstalkers when they're sexy ladies is also the story of a Darkstalker video game franchise. What?
I guess.
Okay. Huge Darkstalker fan excited to play it for the first time. What? Huh?
That is how many of the headlines read
Okay.
of the journalists.
We are going to get Mega Man off the moon.
The moon!
Capcom revive Mega Man Legends 3. I've been stuck on the moon for 19 years.
Yeah, I was gonna say, meanwhile, on the moon!
Yeah. Hey, it's Mother.
It's Nez and the Ice Climbers.
It's a shot from the Melee opening.
Da-da. Yeah, that was cute.
Walrein.
Happy Mother's Day. Are those all our kids? I don't think so. Fog.
I actually follow the artist that makes that, by the way.
Oh, cool. Fog outside no one.
Not
Silent Hill fan.
surprised.
Silent Hill fan. The whole game is fog. I can't see 2 feet in front of me. We have to fix the Z buffer. We don't have enough memory. Okay, make a lot of fog. Okay.
Oh, it actually makes the game better.
It's running so smoothly. Hey, I just got my franchise reveal. Hey, I'm getting mine next.
Hey, I'm getting mine next. Hey, I doubt it.
Silent
Oh
Hill.
no!
Oh, yeah, that's not
The Gravity Falls Silent Hill crossover.
That.
not a good combination.
Oh God! It plays out in my head.
Oh,
no.
Konami, Silent Hill, Resident Evil. Oh, no.
Capcom making Resident Evil fans happy.
Mary falls ill with incurable disease, James. Prepare for the most unpleasant pillow fight of your life.
Cocks the pillow.
I just found out there's a mod to make Spyro a chunky little chungus, and I'm squealing in delight, kicking my feet and doing little claps. I would die for him.
This is real, by the way.
It's diabetes. Spyro.
Yeah,
I'm not surprised it's a mod because there are furries that are fat fetishists.
Yeah, you think they would say,
I would turn everything into fat.
I would diet for him. So, out here living my best life. What the? Rabid Mario is drowning.
This ain't about him.
was this a post that someone made and someone's making a joke?
This is most likely fan art. Yeah.
Yeah, because it sounds like someone was taking a picture of a selfie, and then there's a guy in the background, and they're like, "Whoa!"
Yeah,
So
but in terms of this art, it's like all three of them are at least Rayman and Rabbid Peach are in character.
Okay.
And I fit the Mario Rabbids game.
No.
Yeah.
It still surprises me that that the idea for that came out as good as it did.
Yeah.
How do we make XCOM on Mario?
Oh, well, yeah.
Well, just Mario XCOM. They just did it. They just did it literally, and that's it.
Worked.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go home and eat sushi off a nake.
Naked cow.
The adult Rayman. What do you know? Rayman eating sushi off a cow's ass in an official piece of media was not what I expected in 2023.
And you can see perfectly that they hired furry artists for this because this is the style that you see everywhere on furry websites.
Yeah.
This might be stolen beauty, but it sure feels heavenly. Eat your heart out, 2D. Feast your eyes on new and improved Grunty.
Yeah, this is the Gruntilda again. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh boy. Funny thing, I just saw this art earlier today. The fuck?
Hey, let's make
it's following me.
Let's make Star Fox porn. Am I a joke to? Oh, they didn't make any porn about her, I guess.
They made
said anything about that?
Who said they didn't?
Human that's funny.
You think they didn't make the lesbian version with feminized Star Fox?
Spoilers.
You sweet
yes, they have.
child.
Yes, they have.
Blue the Bone? What the?
This. Oh yeah, it's like from when Fox discovers Crystal in Adventures.
On the...
Where am I? There's so many of these. Okay, so they modded Half-Life 2 to put...
They modded Crystal into Half-Life 2, yes.
All right. The same voice actress?
Yes, actually. And she had retired back in 2005 after, I think, Star Fox Assault.
Oh.
Wait. She voiced the character for the mod?
Yes. She did because, it's for the fans, whatever.
What the fuck? That is amazing.
Yeah.
Dudes who started playing Fallout in 2011. Guys, Microsoft just bought Bethesda. I'm really worried about the future of the franchise. Dudes have been playing Fallout since 97. Hey, don't sweat it, buddy. I'm sure it'll all work out just fine.
No, it won't.
I think Fallout 4 is like the fourth most or fifth most popular Fallout game out there. I can't remember the
Fallout
ranking. 4? It's nowhere near the first three, so I don't know where it is on the ranking though.
Well, the first two in New Vegas.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm not gonna read that.
Which one am I reading?
There's too much text on the screen. I just not forget about it. Something light to end it on. Okay, great. The last one. A bunny.
Yeah.
That's kind of cute. What the hell's it doing?
trying to play Xbox.
Just mashing.
It looks like a mini game in Mario.
Yeah. Cute.
Oh, never forget the freaking tug of war in Mario Party 2.
I thankfully only played the first game.
And what is wrong with my image? There we go. Weird. Nope, I lost it. Where's my image? My icons.
Oh no, what happened?
My icons have disappeared.
Oh no.
I'll figure it out later.
The Dragoon got it.
There it is. All right, we're back.
Are we?
Oh, there's super chats. I gotta read them.
Yeah.
Oh, that was from you, Gingaman. Oh, what the hell. This man is here dunking on Jack Daxter 3 when in actuality, that game is the fan favorite.
Yes, it is. Speaking as someone who has played the series.
But
That's why I said that.
If it's sold, how can that be if it's sold less? That doesn't make sense because it should have been millions.
Quiet, Bacon Man. You know nothing. Anyway.
Yeah, that was a long... I'm not going to say a bad video. It seems like he put a lot of effort into it.
Nah, it seems like
No,
bad.
it was. Yeah, don't
you
Smudge got you. He brainwashed you.
Yeah, right.
You're giving him compliments for having put work into the video, although it made no sense.
But
No.
do we need to remind you of Legends of Dragoon opinion?
Oh, God. If I could spend 20 minutes replaying that game and going, oh, now I remember the flashbacks of suffering and nausea. Like, I was literally, like, laying down on the couch, getting through certain levels. Where's the save point? I want to go to bed. Where's this? I got to go through more dialogue. Oh, there's another battle. Oh, my God. Like, it's so painful at certain times. It was that, I don't know. It just, something about that game, everything was just wrong. Oh, nice piece of music. Wrong. I was like, oh, my God.
Every step of the way wrong.
I want you to make a review of that game.
Good luck. If you could find it, I'm sure you can emulate it, probably, because it is popular.
I don't want to play it. Make a review video. When you're done with Fallout, make something about this game.
Smud's like, good luck, bitch. I'm not touching it.
Yeah, I'm not ever going to want to talk about that. Anyway, this was a bad content video. Obviously, the editing is good, but the arguments weren't there. Complaining about people online is like, why? Why do this? This is what the crap we get from those crazy weirdos on the was it BreadTube or whatever they're called, that just complain about people who are different than them. Like, why do this? Stop it. Ignore people with differing opinions you dislike. It's not hard. Instead,
don't complain and don't complain about intellectual dishonesty when you can't make a coherent argument.
Instead, point out the things that you have value in. Like in my case, I found the value in all the faults of Mass Effect 2. I went and did my own video series based off that instead of hanging around the BioWare social forums, talking to more people who are just yes men for BioWare.
He said he doesn't have standards, but he also doesn't like certain games or sequels, but doesn't tell why. So it's just emotional blabber, and so I have to assume he's just projecting that everybody else is like that, and therefore everybody else's complaints and standards are arbitrary because he has none. Therefore, the standards must be arbitrary that other people put up because he cannot conceive of the idea that those standards might be objective.
Well, I would not use money as a yardstick for gaming. It's not. It's never worked in the past very well. And
same goes for any medium. Like Twilight and 50 Shades of Grey sold like hotcakes, and that was atrocious stuff.
Oh, look at Helldivers. What happened last week? So it's up and down.
Well, the Helldivers thing has nothing to do with sales, though. That was just Sony being morons.
Yeah, no, I'm just mean the rating. As soon as that thing hit, the negative reviews hit, and they're still negative, but people are still playing the game now that the problem's fixed.
I still love that they took the graph of the negative reviews that kept going down and down. They made that a cape in Helldivers too.
They did. That's awesome.
Yes, they took it, and they also, and that cape they includes like the 3 segments of negative reviews keep going more and more, and they also added an extra segment of review of an uptick of positive reviews as well. That's on the cape.
Oh, that's cool. That means the developers are like, they're aware of it. They're like, yeah, we're not going to run from this.
It's like the developers aren't the ones at fault. It's all Sony.
Yeah. That's cool. All right. Well, thanks, guys.
Whatever flaws the game might have, that's separate from Sony's bullshit. But anyway.
Yeah, that's a nice acknowledgement of the game's history, even.
Yeah. But anyway,
Yep. We'll call it a night. Thank you so much. Have a good one. Happy Mother's Day if we don't talk tomorrow. So enjoy the weekend as best you can. Have a good one. Good night. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Good night, D.